Hey guys, this is Infinity No What Ifs. I hope you are doing well. Please support to subscribe this channel to watching new interesting stories and to get all videos in real time. Please subscribe. So in this video, we will see what if Naruto and Hinata fell in love. Here is short summary. Naruto forgets what happens after the Nine Tails cloak takes over. 2 years after the outbreak of the Fourth Ninja War, Naruto began to suffer from nightmares, including Hinata's memories of fighting against pain. Confused and disoriented, he runs off to the Hyuga compound to make sure she's okay. She's in the garden under the moon. But before we start, if you want more stuff like this, then be sure to subscribe and like this video. And if possible, share this video with your friends. Now let's start the story. The return. After the events of the Fourth Shinobi War, Uzumaki Naruto was, to put it plainly, busy. As a newly popular war hero, he joined the Shinobi Union as a way to strengthen the bonds of the allied Shinobi nations. He was usually gone from the Leaf Village traveling, going on missions, and helping keep the peace that so many Shinobi died for. When he was in the village, he was teaching at the academy or being forced to study with Kakashi-sensei so he could take the Chunin exams and the Jonin exams. It was a lot to expect from one person. He just needed a minute to catch his breath and he would be good to go. 2 years after peace was established, Naruto stood in front of the Konoha gates for the first time in his life, looking forward to staying in the village. "Oi, Azumo, Kotetsu, wake your lazy asses up," Naruto yelled, startling the two sleeping Chunin on guard patrol. "Naruto, you little brat," Kotetsu said as lifted his head off the desk, immediately recognizing the orange-clad ninja. "Welcome back, Naruto. How long are you in the village for this time?" Azumo asked while shuffling around some paperwork to make it look like he wasn't just caught sleeping on the job. "If nothing else comes up, I should be home for at least a couple of months, maybe more," Naruto replied while rubbing the back of his head and scratching his face with a bandaged finger. "Anyway, I can't stand here chatting all day with you two lazy bums, Datbeo. I have to go give my report to Kakashi-sensei," he said as he waved goodbye and ran towards Hokage Tower. The two Chunin watch as Naruto sprints off in the direction of the Hokage Tower. "Are you watching, Lord Third?" Kotetsu asks. The will of fire burns brightly in this new generation. They carry the hopes and dreams of their predecessors proudly, he thinks, smiling. Once he gets close to the Hokage Tower, Naruto stops sprinting and starts walking at a leisurely pace, both hands folded behind his head, looking around at the various changes that were done to the village. "Man, everything looks so different," he says out loud, noting a few new shops and restaurants. "Kiko's Sweets and Things, huh? What's that about?" Naruto said as he leered into the shop window. "Oh, wow, they have lots of stuff," Naruto drools and his stomach rumbles a heartbeat later. "I can get something to treat myself for a mission well completed and then get Kakashi-sensei to treat me to a bowl of good old Ichiraku ramen," he thought deviously. Looking up again at the sweets displayed in the window, Naruto recognizes long dark blue hair and hurries inside the shop. "Hey, Hinata," he says and sees her turn around upon hearing her name. Her white eyes widen and a soft smile stretches across her face upon seeing him. "Naruto-kun, welcome home. It's nice to see you again," the shy girl says, a small blush dusting her cheeks. "It's nice to see you too. I knew I recognized your hair from the window. I wasn't too sure though, you look different," he says as he takes the opportunity to study her. Her long blue hair was pulled into a low ponytail. Instead of her baggy ninja pants and hoodie or shorts and top, she was wearing a black long-sleeve turtleneck. On top of the turtleneck was a lavender and black V-neck dress. The lavender part had flowy sleeves that stopped above her elbows. The black part started at the end of the V and continued down, ending the dress right a few inches above her knees. She had her usual leg pouch with its wraps, and the other on leg had fishnets that went down to her knee. She also had the standard ninja sandals. Hinata's face started taking on a darker shade of red and she nervously shifted from one foot to the other under his intense stare. "It suits you, Datbeo," he finally said as he smiled at her. Hinata had gone shopping with Sakura, Ino, and Tenten, and the girls refused to allow Hinata to buy clothes that she would usually feel more comfortable in. She had been nervous, but she actually liked some of the items they picked. "Thank you, Naruto-kun," she smiled up at him. Did you just get back from a mission? He asked as he looked through various cakes and pastries that were on display. No, I was out training with Shino, Kiba, and Akamaru. I decided to stop by and pick up some cinnamon rolls for Hanabi and me to share when I got back to the compound. She said, holding the box of said treats up for him to see. He hums in response. You know what, I'll get those too. He said, slamming his closed fist into his palm in finality. Walking up to the cashier, he asks for 2 cinnamon rolls. After paying, he grabs the box and he and Hinata exit the store. Hey, would mind walking with me to Hokage Tower? I haven't seen anyone in a while and I'd like to catch up, Datbeo. He asked when they got outside. Heart beating, face flushed, Hinata shyly looks down and agrees. He offers her one of his rolls and starts asking about changes to the village, their friends, anything and everything that he missed while he was away. Hinata accepts the offered treat and answers as best as she could. Taking the chance to study him as they walk. He looks different from the last time she was him. Naruto was always sun-kissed, but he was a bit darker now. If she remembers correctly, his mission was in Suna, so that explains the tan. The short buzz cut that Sakura gave Naruto has long since grown out, golden strands sticking wildly upon his head. He wore his normal orange and black outfit. She smiled, realizing that he'd gotten a little taller. They both stopped in front of the Hokage Tower. This was his stop and she had to go home and train with Hanabi. Hey, Hinata, he asked, eyes downcast, brows furrowed. She hummed, waiting patiently. Do you think, would you mind coming with me to visit Neji? He asked. I'm sure Neji-Nisan would like that, Naruto-kun. She said lightly. Taking a chance on being bold, she reached out and grabbed his hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. They both smiled at each other and waved goodbye. Nothing else needed to be said. Finishing off the last of his cinnamon roll, Naruto made his way up the stairs to Kakashi's office. Hands behind his head, he kicked open the office door. Kakashi-sensei, I'm back, Datbeo. He yelled at the top of his lungs, a smile stretched across his face. Inside the office, the 6th Hokage Kakashi Hatake flinched upon hearing his loudmouth student burst into his office. Shikamaru Nara dropped the stack of papers he was holding in surprise at the sudden noise. This is such a drag, I just organized these documents, Shikamaru said as he shot Naruto a nasty glare and bent down to pick up the papers he dropped. Oi, why are you the Hokage's advisor if your lazy ass is just going to complain about it? Naruto shouted at him but bent down to help him gather the papers anyway. Man, this is such a drag, you just got here and already you're getting on my nerves. Shikamaru quipped back, letting a small smile creep on his face. Troublesome. He rolled his eyes playfully and finished gathering the documents that were on the floor. Taking the ones that Naruto extended to him, he put the papers on Kakashi's desk and started reorganizing them. Welcome back, Naruto, Kakashi said after watching the exchange with a small smile showing through his mask. How was your mission? He asked. Kakashi-sensei, you gotta give me a challenge, Datbeo. I took down those bandits no problem. Naruto bragged as he started recounting the mission. Kakashi took in the blonde's appearance as he talked. Physically Naruto looked fine, but Kakashi couldn't help but notice the brightness that those blue eyes always held seemed a little dimmer. Also, you gotta stop putting Izumo and Kotetsu, lazy asses, on guard duty. They were both passed out at the gate. Kakashi focused on catching the last thing Naruto said and let out a laugh, Naruto joining in. Naruto, how was your stay in the sand? Kakashi asked. Now is my chance. Ichiraku, here we come, Naruto thought evilly. Grinning like a madman, Naruto said, geez, I'd really want to tell you all about it, Kakashi-sensei, but it was a really long journey and I haven't eaten anything. Kakashi narrowed his eyes. Naruto could fool everyone else into thinking he was a hero, but Kakashi knew better. He saw Naruto for what he was the boy's sensei after all. The boy was a con man. With a wave of his hand he said, ah, I see, well then don't let me keep you. Drop off your formal report, pick up your pay, and head home. You deserve a break. Kakashi smirked under his mask. Naruto narrowed his eyes at Kakashi. He fought side by side with the Kage of past and present. He fought against Madara Uchiha, Kagaya, and then kicked Sasuke's ass after he was done with them. He was making his sensei buy him Ichiraku ramen. Man, how troublesome, Shikamaru thought as he looked between the two childish men. Ah, I know Kakashi-sensei. How about we get dinner together? Naruto suggested. See, I would love to, Naruto, but as the future Hokage you should understand how much paperwork I have to do, Kakashi said as he picked up the stack of documents Shikamaru had on his desk, slumping his shoulders and feigning disappointment. Kakashi added, I might even be here all night. Got you, Naruto thought. Well, that's even more reason to have dinner. Ever since you've become Hokage you've been super busy, Kakashi-sensei. You need to take a break every once in a while, Naruto said offhandedly. Besides, I've been in and out of the village for a long time, I haven't gotten to spend much time with you, Sakura, Sai, and Captain Yamato. Oh, maybe we should invite them too, Naruto said slyly, knowing that Kakashi would rather pay for 2 people instead of 5. Kakashi flinched and sighed, acknowledging defeat, standing up and smoothing out his cage robes. I suppose I could go for some ramen, and I think everyone else is busy, so you'll just have to be happy with me. Kakashi sighed, already weeping over the dent that Naruto was about to put in his wallet. Shikamaru looked at the 2 men and rolled his eyes. What a drag, you both are so cheap. I'm going home, Shikamaru said as he rolled his eyes and waved by. Pausing at the doorway he turned and added, we'll catch up sometime soon, Naruto. Then continues on his way. Let's go before I change my mind and you can pay for yourself, Kakashi said as he walked out of the office. I'm coming, Naruto said, scurrying behind after the gray-haired man. 1 month had passed since Naruto returned to the village. I'll never get used to this, Naruto thought as he ran down a street, up a wall, then launched himself onto the roof of a nearby building. A deep rumbling could be heard in his subconscious. The great Naruto Uzumaki, hero of the Great War, reduced to running from school girls and a couple of boys too. Kurama continued laughing as his Jinchuriki lost one of his sandals as he was running. It's not funny, you stupid fox, Naruto groaned as he watched the crowd below him fight over the fallen article. While the crowd was distracted, Naruto leapt across a few more rooftops to put some distance between them. Sitting down with his legs over the edge, he looked out at his village, his home. It took a long time, and if he was being honest with himself, he doubted that the villagers would ever accept him as more than the monster fox. When he defeated Nagato and he and Kakashi-sensei were met by the village, he held his breath and waited for the screams and shouts. He waited for the rocks to start flying at him, for the village to reject him. When they didn't, his heart soared. They finally saw him as Naruto Uzumaki. When they came back from the war in his heart, that little bit of fear crept back into his heart, but again he was met with acceptance and welcome from his village. Lost in thought, he didn't notice a head of pink hair and a head of dark blue looking up at him from below. Sakura and Hinata were meeting up for their weekly lunches. After the war, Hinata had asked Sakura to teach her medical ninjutsu. Sakura agreed, knowing that Hinata being able to utilize her Byakugan for medical ninjutsu would be beneficial for many reasons. Hinata also hoped that by learning medical ninjutsu she could open up a new path for other Hyuga. So 3 times a week Hinata would learn under Sakura. Once a week they would have lunch to discuss her progress, how far she's come along, what difficulties she might be having, and eventually, after the business was discussed, they would just have girl talk. Usually, after lunch, Hinata would present her progress to Lady Tsunade, Shizune, and Sakura. Tsunade had the final say in whether Hinata moved forward in her training. Walking side by side, the girls started talking about Hinata's training. I think it is really admirable that you want to learn medical ninjutsu, Hinata, Sakura said as she clasped her hands behind her back and smiled at her friend. Thank you. It's been a little difficult, but my ninja way is to never give up and to never go back on my word, so no matter how hard, I will become a medical ninja, Hinata said, gaining more confidence the more she talked. You've come a long way, I'm proud of you, Sakura said. A blush started forming on Hinata's face and she and her friend continued to walk towards their usual tea shop. Is that Naruto? Sakura exclaimed, looking at the lone figure on a nearby rooftop. Hinata snapped her head up and looked where Sakura was looking. Seeing the blonde sitting on the rooftop. Why the hell does he only have on one shoe? Sakura shouted, pointing at his foot. Laughing at Sakura's offended expression and the blonde's peculiarity, Hinata lightly pulled the pink-haired girl towards the tea shop. I can't believe that the 5th Hokage was a gambler, the 6th is a pervert, and now our 7th Hokage is going to be a lunatic that runs around with only one shoe on his foot. Sakura sighed as she thought about both her former sensei and her blonde teammate. Hinata smiled at her friend. Yes, the Hokage of the Leaf has all been odd characters, and it seems that that tradition will continue with Naruto-kun when he becomes the 7th Hokage. She was proud of him. She couldn't wait to see the brilliant smile she knew would light up his face when he finally accepted the hat. Sakura looked over at her friend. The light blush adorning her cheeks could only mean one thing. Someone's thinking about Naruto. Sakura teases as she glances at the menu on the table. I am not. Hinata jumped a bit at having her innermost thoughts be said aloud. After placing their orders, they chatted while they waited for their food to arrive. So, Sakura drawled out, "Are you and Naruto dating yet?" The pinkette asked, taking a sip of her tea afterward. Hinata's white eyes nearly popped out of her head at the question, spilling her own tea a bit in the process. Dating? Me and Naruto-kun? No, absolutely not, Hinata said quickly as she tried to calm the blush that was threatening to overtake her face. Why not? It's been 2 years since you've confessed and now he is in the village for a while. It's a perfect time, Sakura argued. Looking down at the teacup in her hands, bangs covering her eyes, Hinata looked at her reflection. Has it really been 2 years? Hinata thought. I don't know, she whispered. Hinata, what happened? Sakura asked, reaching for her friend's hand from across the table. Feeling the Sakura's hand on her own, Hinata kept her eyes down but resolved to tell her. After all, Sakura was the only one who knew she confessed during the pain attack. I don't think he feels the same way, Hinata said. He hasn't said anything about what I told him. Like you said, it's been 2 years and he hasn't said anything. In fact, nothing's changed between us since then. Hinata continued, her eyes watering. I wouldn't say nothing. We've become closer as friends after Neji Nisan's death. He offered me a cinnamon roll once, but... Hinata let the sentence hang in the air, the tears that gathered finally falling. Poor Hinata. Naruto, you idiot, the least you can do is give the girl an answer instead of leading her on when you know how she feels. Sakura thought. Stupid 9 tails Jinchuriki, Sakura thought angrily. Wait, the 9 tails, she stopped her inner rant midway. Hinata, she called the girl. Yes, would you say Naruto acts completely normal around you? The pink hair girl questioned. Yes, I just said that, Hinata responded with a confused expression on her face. Like completely normal, or does he act like he's trying to avoid telling you to spare your feelings? Sakura further probed. I'm not sure I understand the question, Hinata replied, taking a sip of tea to calm her nerves. Sakura thought of a better way to explain. Does he look at you differently than he used to? Sakura asked, remembering the soft look Sasuke gave her before he poked her forehead. Looks at me differently, Hinata repeated the question to herself. No, he looks at me how he's always looked at me. Hinata finally decided. The food arrived at the table and the girls started their respective meals in silence. Hinata, I could be wrong but I don't think I am. Sakura started, green eyes staring intently into white ones. Tilting her head in confusion, Hinata waited for Sakura to continue. I don't think Naruto knows you confessed your feelings to him, Sakura explained. How could he not? Hinata asked, still not understanding what her friend was trying to get at. Back when you jumped in the fight with Pain, Naruto was pinned down unable to move. All he could do was watch as Pain dealt you blow after blow. Hinata, he thought Pain killed you. Sakura explained, telling her friend a bit of what Naruto told her after the dust settled. Hinata's eyes widened. The 9 tails, well, Kurama took over Naruto's body. He grew 9 tails and fought with Pain. So you think Kurama has something to do with why Naruto might not know of my feelings? Hinata asked, starting to piece together what Sakura was trying to explain. Yes, I've only seen Naruto lose control one other time before that. He let loose 4 tails and attacked me. Sakura continued explaining. In hindsight, it was kind of silly of me to think I could stop him or calm him when I only just started to learn about Jinchuriki and Tailed Beast. But when Captain Yamato finally forced Kurama's chakra back and Naruto woke up, he had no memory of what happened before he transformed. Sakura said. I see, Hinata said, letting the information sink in. I know Captain Yamato told Naruto the truth of what happened in order to motivate him to try and control Kurama's chakra, but knowing Naruto, he probably wouldn't have asked what happened if there wasn't anything to prove that something had happened. Since you never brought it up, I doubt that Naruto remembered anything more than seeing a friend get hurt, Sakura said, then continued eating. I see. Thank you, Sakura. You've given me a lot to think about. Hinata said as she then continued to eat her lunch. I believe in you, Hinata. All you have to do is gather the same courage you had the first time and tell him again. I'm rooting for you. Sakura winked towards her friend. Thank you, Hinata said shyly. The same villagers who used to scorn Naruto for having the nine-tailed fox sealed inside became his fans. The villagers treated him like a celebrity. They bought him gifts. Some would fight over who got to pay for his meals when he went out to eat. So now Naruto's routine included doing assignments for Kakashi, training, catching up with friends, all the while either running from large groups of fans, accepting gifts from strangers, and trying to deal with the nightmares that haunted his mind at night. This must be how Gaara felt when he had Shukaku, Naruto thought bitterly. Maybe you should confide in Kakashi, brat, Kurama suggested, worried for his blonde host. I'm fine, it's just a couple of bad dreams. Don't tell me you're getting soft on me, ya big furball, Datbeo. Naruto laughed it off. Don't mock me, brat. You may be able to fool those humans out there, but remember, we are one. I will always know exactly how you feel, so hiding your pain from me is useless. Kurama scolded the boy. Naruto flinched. Cerulean blue eyes looked away as he sat in his bed. Yeah, okay, Naruto responded. Closing his eyes, he took a deep breath and tried to start meditating. He knew it wasn't his fault. That's what everyone said. That's what he told himself. That it wasn't his fault. But he couldn't stop the guilt that he felt whenever he saw the memorial for all the shinobi that died in the battle. Neji, who put himself in between a spear of wood that was meant for him. Dying, in his arms. What were his last words? Because you called me a genius. Obito, he was like me. We shared the same dream. In the end, he turned to ash, crumbled in front of me, trying to fix his mistakes. Dad, it had hurt, growing up and never knowing who his parents were. If they loved him, if they were alive or dead. Then finding out, he was loved. He had a father who was awesome enough to become the Hokage. A mother who had beautiful red hair. He was loved. They had died for him. His father died for him twice. Naruto remembers his father's kind words and his smiling face as he disappeared before his eyes. Naruto, Kurama said. Feeling the boy's agitation, Kurama tried catching Naruto's attention. Naruto, can you hear me? He asked. Naruto's hand gripped his chest, breathing heavily, and he started gasping for air. Naruto, you need to relax. Take a deep breath, Kurama instructed. I can't. Naruto struggled to respond. Don't worry, I'll try and get you some help, Kurama reassured. The day Kurama was to admit that he cared about the rambunctious blonde is the same day he would admit that Shukaku the One Tail was stronger than him. Which is never, the latter being a complete fabrication of the other Biju's fractured mind. The blonde had become a friend, who treated him like an equal instead of a monster or weapon. He had earned his respect, and so he would do everything he could to save the boy. Releasing a huge burst of chakra, Kurama could only sit back and hope that someone would feel or see it and come to his friend's aid. In the Hokage Tower, Kakashi was in the middle of a meeting with Tsunade. They were discussing Tsunade's progress in healing the effects of the infinite Tsukuyomi. The last village on my list is the Hidden Stone Village. The leaf, the sand, the mist, and the cloud have all been cured of the lingering effects of the Tsukuyomi. Tsunade said as she took a sip of sake. Kakashi smelt it before he felt it. The change in the air before a huge burst of red chakra shooting up from the other side of the village. Lady Tsunade, Kakashi said. I know, she said, getting up and putting her cup down. Naruto, they both said at the same time before they jumped out of the window and rushed toward their favorite blonde. Naruto's mind was just a sea of turmoil. The battlefield was full of graves. His mother's brilliant red hair turns into Gaara's fiery red. Gar's red turns into the blood pouring out of Neji's mouth. He can't breathe. He can't sense Kakashi-sensei's chakra any more pain. Nagato killed him. His hands are sticky from the ice pop melting on his hands. He turns and he offered half to Pervy Sage but he isn't there. Jiraiya of the Sannin has died in battle. Naruto can hear his window shattering and feels hands on him but he doesn't know whose hands. He can't breathe. Oi, Naruto! Kurama shouts in his mind trying to reach him beyond the haze. A soft hand cupped his cheek, gently but firmly. It's because I love you, Naruto. Who said that? He doesn't have time to think about it. Hands are grabbing him and he's falling backward. He's having a panic attack, Tsunade says as she puts Naruto's head in her lap. Kakashi, go get me a bowl of cold water and a rag. Hands already glowing green with medical ninjutsu. When Kakashi crashes into his student's apartment, he thought maybe, just maybe, the Nine-Tails changed his mind about being friends and decided to try and force himself out of Naruto. He was prepared for battle. He was not prepared to find his student struggling to breathe, suffering from a panic attack. Kakashi went to the kitchen and filled a bowl with cold water and found a clean rag in the bathroom and brought it to Tsunade. There was nothing he could do besides be there for his student, and he made a promise. After the pain attack, Kakashi was admitted to the hospital, his ever-devoted students by his side through this recovery. Naruto more so than Sakura, since she was working at the hospital. He woke up one day and found Naruto sprawled on a cot next to his bed, and he made a choice. He wasn't always there for Sakura or Naruto, prioritizing the last Uchiha, but he would be. At the drop of the hat, if they needed him, he would come running. He would be there if they needed him, no matter what. Placing the requested items near Tsunade, Kakashi sat next to Naruto and took his hand. He would be there, always. Naruto, can you hear me? Tsunade asks as she wets the rag and squeezes it out. I'm going to wipe your forehead, all right, it's going to cool you down. She lets Naruto know before dabbing the rag to his forehead. Naruto, nod or squeeze Kakashi's hand if you can hear me, she says. Both Hokage wait for the boy's reaction. He squeezed, Kakashi informs her. All right, Naruto, we are going to try and get your breathing under control, okay? Squeeze or nod if you understand, Tsunade says as she wets the rag again, hoping the coolness would help calm him. He squeezed, Kakashi says. Okay, we are going to take a deep breath. 1.2. 0.3 okay, and exhale. 1.2. 0.3. She says as she takes a deep breath. Naruto. Kakashi watches the younger blonde struggle to take a breath and release it. Good job, Naruto. Let's do it again. In 1.2. 0.3 and now exhale. 1.2. 0.3. Tsunade repeats this a few more times, and each time Naruto breathes easier. The rag forgotten, Tsunade runs her hand through the spiky blonde hair, trying to keep Naruto soothed and calm. Are you feeling better? What do you need? Kakashi asks. Why, yeah. Could I have a glass of water, please? Naruto says, blue eyes opening and landing on a pair of honey brown above him. Do you want to talk about it, brat? Tsunade asks softly as Kakashi goes to the kitchen. Not really, Naruto says. I won't push you right now, but even when you don't want to, talking about it helps. Tsunade said, remembering many nights that Shizune told her the same thing. Helping Naruto sit up so that he can drink the water being offered to him, Kakashi started, you know, when I first thought Obito died, I blamed myself. If I had just gone with him to save Rin the first time he asked, or if I was just a second faster, or if I was smarter, I would have been able to save him. When Rin died, I thought the same thing. If I was faster, better, I would have been able to save her too. The guilt, I felt like it was going to swallow me whole. No matter how much I scrubbed my hands raw, I could not get her blood off. Clutching his chest, Naruto asked, how do you make the feeling stop? How do you get the blood off, Kakashi-sensei? I didn't, at least not on my own. It took a long time. I shut everyone out, pushed them away. But when I finally started letting people in, the pain lessened, the blood faded. When you try to shoulder the burden all on your own, it weighs you down, but when you allow the people who care about you to help you carry, Kakashi trailed off. Naruto, what I'm trying to say is, let me take some of your burdens. You don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders, you are not alone. Kakashi's eyes met Naruto's and the curve of his smile could be seen through his mask. Tsunade ruffles Naruto's hair and says, "Stupid brat, I'll take your burdens too. These are the people precious to you, Naruto. The shinobi who died during the war fought with everything they had to protect those precious to them as well. Their villages, their comrades on the field, their families, their lives are not only your burden to bear, I'll take some of the weight off your shoulders." Kurama voiced. Tears pooled in cerulean blue eyes and rivers flowed down Naruto's face. "I'll try my best, Datbeo." A few weeks later, Hinata sits in front of her vanity twiddling her thumbs. She was going to visit Neji Nisan today. "Naruto-kun wanted to come with me to visit. What if he's busy? Maybe we should schedule a day to go." Hinata thought out loud. Hanabi watched as her older sister struggled to make a decision. "Hinata-ni-chan, you do realize that at this moment Naruto could be getting swept off his feet by those harpy fans of his." Hanabi smirks as she watches her sister's eyes widen in realization. "You'll be the last to get his attention if you don't make the first move." Hanabi continued, twirling her kunai. Hanabi's right, Hinata thought, her resolve strengthening. She stands up and walks over to her wardrobe. "I have to make the first move. Naruto-kun will not know of my feelings if I just hide in my room all day," Hinata said. "Well, you sure as hell can't wear that if you're making the first move, my unfashionable elder sister," Hanabi said as she grabbed Hinata's layered outfit and put it back in the wardrobe. "Step aside," Hanabi says. Immediately she starts rejecting her sister's clothes. "No, no, no, definitely not," Hanabi says, tossing various items away. "Hanabi, I understand that you are trying to help, but you are making a mess," Hinata says as she tries to organize Hanabi's mess. "Well, if you had better clothes we wouldn't be having this problem." "This is perfect," Hanabi sassed back, holding out an outfit. "I do not know if that is appropriate," Hinata said as a blush crept up her face. "Hinata, almost everything in your wardrobe goes down to your wrists and ankles. Also, it came from your closet, so it is automatically appropriate. Put it on," Hanabi said flatly. "Hanabi, I am going to a grave," Hinata said, exasperated by her sister's antics. "The skirt isn't even that short," Hanabi huffed out. Taking the clothes offered, Hinata stepped into her bathroom to change. Hanabi was in awe of her elder sister. Watching her suffer from her own hands, their fathers and the clan's. She was proud to see Hinata grow so strong and determined and keep being loving and kind. Her sister deserved love as powerful as her own, and if Naruto Uzumaki could not see how beautiful and kind her sister was, then, well, Hanabi was not considered a prodigy for shits and giggles. A few moments later Hinata stepped out of the bathroom. Hanabi squealed. "Hinata-ni-chan, you look beautiful. My work here is done," Hanabi said excitedly. "Tell Neji Nisan hi, for me," she said before leaving Hinata's room. "All right, thank you, Hanabi," Hinata said softly. Taking a moment to appreciate the silence, she then turns towards her mirror. The woman staring back at her in the mirror was not someone Hinata recognized immediately. It took her a moment to realize that she was not the meek and frightened child, the one who was bullied over her eyes. Nor was she the shy and weak genin whose father and clan tossed aside. She was a woman, a strong and kind woman. This is the woman Neji Nisan died for. Squaring her shoulders, white eyes drifted over her frame. Hanabi picked out a mesh undershirt knowing that her sister would be uncomfortable, on top of that a cream kimono blouse with a lavender border in front, a black skirt that stopped by her thighs, and a darker shade of purple obi. She looked nice, tying her hair in a low ponytail with two pieces framing her face. Deciding she was complete, she made her way through the compound towards the kitchen. "You look lovely today, Hinata-sama," a passing Hyuga complimented. "Thank you, Natsu-san," Hinata said, a smile lighting up her face. After arriving at the kitchen, she took out 2 bento boxes she made and 2 drinks, placing them in her bag, and she made her way to the exit. After putting on her shoes at the door, she headed over to the Yamanaka's flower shop. Hinata heard the little bell ding as we entered the flower shop. Noticing Ino and surprisingly Sai at the counter. Shopping silently, she found her items and made her way to the register to pay. "Hello, Ino-san." "Hello, Sai-san," Hinata greeted as she handed the flowers over to Ino to wrap. "Hey, Hinata, you look great," Ino greeted and she admired her friend. Ah, hello doe eyes, Sai said and smiled at Hinata. Doe eyes, both Ino and Hinata questioned. You give nicknames to form friendships, her eyes are big and wide and she always looks alarmed. Doe eyes, Sai explained. I see, what is Ino-san's nickname? Hinata asked after silently accepting the strange man's invitation of friendship. Beautiful, Sai answered without hesitation. Ino sputtered at the counter, her face heating up. Giggling, Hinata paid for her flowers and waved goodbye. Sai and Ino-san, I'm happy for them, Hinata thought. Forging on, she made her way to where she knew Naruto lived. She only knew where he lived because they had a celebratory party after the war ended. Not because she followed him home. Yeah. Finding his apartment number, she walked towards it. And hesitated. What if he is not home? I should check. No, that is an invasion of his privacy. Hinata thought the nerves she had earlier showed themselves again. No, I have to make the first move. Hinata thought. Adrenaline bursts through her veins and she bangs on his door instead of knocking. Oh no, she thought. Inside Naruto's apartment, the sudden banging on his front door makes him jump. Getting up from the card game he was playing with his shadow clones, he makes his way to the front door. Geez, if Sakura-chan breaks my front door again, I'm making her put the new one in this time. Naruto thought. She doesn't know her own strength. Opening the door, blue eyes widened in surprise. Hinata, Naruto questioned, not believing that the shy girl was the one to bang on his door so hard. What an interesting turn of events. Kurama laughed at both of their faces. Naruto's constipated confusion and the Hyuga girl's absolute terror. I am so sorry, Naruto-kun. I didn't mean to knock so hard, Hinata said, panic still written across her face, seasoned with a bit of embarrassment. Hey, it's okay, Dadbeo. You just caught me by surprise, Naruto assured. What are you doing here? Hinata's face flushed, realizing that Naruto wasn't wearing a shirt. She's practically drooling. Kurama teased. What are you talking about? Naruto asked the fox. If you still want to, that is. I'm sorry, Hinata. I didn't catch that, Naruto replied sheepishly, rubbing the back of his head. Stupid fox, Naruto thought. Stupid brat, Kurama shot back. Slightly dejected, Hinata took a deep breath and spoke again. When you came back to the village, you asked if we could go visit Neji Nisan together. I came by to see if you wanted to join me, if you still want to do that is. Yeah, that would be awesome. Wait here, I'll get changed, Dadbeo. Naruto said as he ran back into his apartment. He threw on his signature tracksuit and ruffled up his hair and met Hinata outside. They smiled at each other and walked in comfortable silence. Hey, Hinata. Yes, Naruto-kun. What's with the sunflowers? Naruto asked. Looking at the flowers in her bag, Hinata smiled softly and looked up at Naruto's curious blue eyes. Neji Nisan likes sunflowers, she said, letting out a small laugh. Naruto laughed too. He couldn't imagine stoic Neji picking sunflowers. Once they got to the memorial flame, Hinata walked towards Neji's plaque and started her usual routine. Naruto watched, hovering awkwardly as Hinata replaced the old flowers with the sunflowers. Next she lit the incense burner. Lastly she said a small prayer before motioning for Naruto to join her. Are you all right? She asked. Yeah, I just don't know what to do, he admitted softly. Kakashi-sensei and Grandma Suden said to open up. It was always easy doing that with Hinata. He recalled their meeting before the Chunin exam. That's all right, Naruto-kun. I'm sure Neji Nisan just appreciates you being here. I usually talk to him. I'll go first and if you want to you can talk next, she said. She told Neji how she was working hard. How she misses him. She told him Hanabi says hello and how much she's grown. Hinata didn't realize she was crying until Naruto pulled her into a hug. Her tears left a small damp spot on his shirt. Naruto spoke next. He told Neji how he was studying for the Chunin exam and how Iruka-sensei is beating so much knowledge into his brain. He told Neji that he promises to become Hokage. The two stand in silence for a while before nodding to each other that it was time to say goodbye. Turning to Naruto while they were walking, Hinata asks, Naruto-kun, I brought some bentos, would you like to have a late lunch together? Hell yeah, Hinata's home-cooked food. Let's go sit by the academy. Naruto cheered. Ichiraku ramen was in Naruto's blood. They were the first to open their doors to him despite the 9 tails. He was always on his own. He couldn't cook and nobody would cook for him, so he cherished the times he could get a home-cooked meal. When he hung out with Choji and Shikamaru in their academy years, Choji's mother had allowed him to stay for dinner and he was ecstatic. A meal cooked with a mother's love. Later, he would go home and cry himself to sleep wondering what his own mother's cooking was like. The second time Hinata had made him a bento box. While eating his own face had been an experience, he was touched that she would go so far as to cook him something. Sitting on the bench inside the park by the academy, Hinata pulled out the bentos. She handed Naruto his and a drink from her bag and pulled out her own. The two sat and talked about everything and nothing. They laughed till their bellies hurt and Naruto thought that Hinata's soft giggles were cute, but her laughter, unrestricted, was beautiful. A blush dusted his cheeks and he needed a distraction from his thoughts. So why did Neji like sunflowers? Naruto asked. Hinata took a breath to calm herself before answering. When I was younger I would spend my time with my mother in the garden. She would name them and tell me if they could be used for medicine or makeup or if you could eat them. Sometimes Neji-Nisan would see us in the garden. After my mother died, I was hurting. Naruto listens as she looks at the clouds, her smile evident on her gentle features. One day, I was in the garden crying. Neji came and tried to do what my mother did to make me feel better. He didn't know a lot of the names or what they were used for. But he did know sunflowers and that you could eat the seeds. I didn't believe him, and to prove his point he bit into the middle of it. She explained, laughing out softly. Naruto laughed too. When I laughed he declared it his favorite flower because if it could make me laugh and smile despite my heart hurting it must be the best. A piercing wail interrupted the moment and immediately Naruto and Hinata were on guard, noticing that it was only a child crying cause they fell and SCD their leg. Excuse me for a moment Naruto-kun, she said, getting up and heading over to the child. Curious, Naruto followed her to see what she was going to do. Bending down to reach the child's level, Hinata introduced herself. Hello, I'm Hinata. What's your name? Sho. The crying child answered, rubbing the tears in his eyes. That's a very nice name, Sho. I'm a medical ninja. Would it be alright if I took a look at your leg? Hinata asked. After a moment's hesitation, Sho nodded and allowed Hinata access to his leg. Byakugan, Hinata said, the veins around her eyes popping out, green chakra surrounding her hand. She began to heal the small SC. Wow, that's cool, Sho said excitedly. Hey, it doesn't hurt anymore. The kid jumped up and down showing off his uninjured leg. Alright, just be a bit more careful from now on, Sho-kun, Hinata said as she dusted off her skirt. Okay, I will. Thank you, Miss Hinata, Sho said as he ran off to tell his friends. Hinata, you're amazing, Naruto said in awe. White eyes widened when they met cerulean blue, and all Hinata could think about was what Sakura said that day in the tea shop. Does he look at you differently than he used to? Sakura asked. Is this what she meant? Several nights later, it happened faster than Naruto could react. They were fighting the 10 tails. Naruto was on his knees exhausted from throwing his Rasen shuriken toward the creature. The 10 tails launched more wooden shards from its paw, full speed towards Naruto. He couldn't dodge them all even if he wanted to. A flash of green and dark blue jumped in front of Naruto. Hinata, Naruto recognized. She stood with her arms extended to shield him with her body. Hinata, move, he yelled in a panic. Shield die. She never wavered. Byakugan still activated, she stood firm. I'm just being selfish now. This time I'm going to save you, Naruto-kun. Wait, she didn't say that. Memories blend together. Naruto's pinned on the ground, black rods protruding out of his body. The 10 tails is no longer looming above them. Pain takes its place. If it means I can protect you. Hinata activates her Byakugan and attacks a rod, pinning Naruto down. What is this? Naruto asked, not understanding what's happening. Memories, Kurama answered. It wasn't often that he peered into the boy's dreams, let alone interfered, but this has been long overdue. Before they bonded, when Kurama would force his chakra through the seal, Naruto lost the memories leading up to Kurama trying to take control. However, Since neither Naruto's nor Kurama's consciousness was fully in control, the memories leading up to the transformation became lost in a sort of limbo. Sometimes they come back over time, sometimes they don't. To this day Naruto had no memory of the moments before he attacked Pervy Sage. Before she gets the chance to attack another, Hinata is hit with an attack of pain and is sent flying a few feet away from Naruto. She tries again. Hinata! Naruto shouts. A trail of blood runs down her face. She struggles to stand up. Her knees are shaking. Pain moves to stand in front of Naruto. She can't win. Naruto thinks as she watches her use twin lion fists and charges at Pain. She manages to get close enough to hit another rod. He wants her to stop. She needs to just stop. Pain sends her flying and this time Naruto thinks she won't get back up. Naruto can feel the tears behind his eye push to make their way down his face. To his relief and absolute horror she does get up. Instead of running away, she continues to struggle to make her way over to him. She's crawling to him now. He can hear Pain ask the same question he's thinking. Why? Why would someone as weak as you go this far, when you know, you'll only die? Hinata's in front of Naruto now. She holds the rod pinning his hinds in hers. I'll never go back on my word, the Hyuga whispers. She lifts her head, despite the pain she must be in, despite the new trails of blood running down her face she holds her head high. It's because I love you Naruto-kun, Hinata declared. He heard that before hadn't he? It was Hinata. She said that she loved him. The scene rewinds. Hinata fights Pain again and once she's on her knees in front of him holding the rods pinning his hands down, Pain sends her flying. This time she doesn't get up. Pain walks over to Hinata and stabs a rod through her. Naruto's on his knees, the 10 tails sending wooden shards his way. When Hinata jumps in front of Naruto to shield him, the shard and Pain's metal rod become one and pierce through her body. Instead of seeing Neji cough up blood, it's Hinata. Naruto shoots up in his bed in a cold sweat. He can't focus. Hinata's in trouble. He has to go save her. Mind hazy, he slides open his bedroom window, Sage Mode activated in search of Hinata's chakra signature. It was late. She had just returned from a mission an hour or two before. After showering, Hinata couldn't sleep, so she went to the place that brought her comfort. There she sat in her mother's garden, enjoying the silence of the night. The light from the moon reflects off the koi pond, giving the fish an iridescent glow. Her hair was still wet from her shower, the tiny drops of water landing on her thighs. She noted some bruising, nothing serious enough that needed to be treated with medical ninjutsu. She looked at the different assortment of flowers in the garden. Some of them were not native to the region. She remembered her mother telling her that father would surprise her with different species when he returned from missions, or even went out of his way to put in a request for a mission to find a particular flower. Mother would plant them in the garden. Some of them would survive and some of them wouldn't because of the different climate and soil properties, but mother always said that it was the thought that counted most. The simple act of giving a gift to someone precious to you is even more special than the gift itself, her mother lectured. Why? A young Hinata asked. Because it means that you are always in their thoughts and heart, no matter how far apart you were from each other, her mother responded. Mother and father loved each other so much, Hinata thought out loud. A loud crash brought Hinata back to the present. Ko and Hanabi rush out of the compound, ready to fight off the intruder. Recognizing Naruto's blonde hair, she sent Ko and Hanabi back inside. Something was wrong with Naruto. The blonde was panting hard and sweat was running down his forehead, but it was his eyes that concerned her the most. Naruto's eyes reminded Hinata of seeing the ocean on a sunny day. Looking at him now, his eyes were foggy and the turmoil in his eyes made her heart ache. He was in the middle of a storm. Naruto-kun, are you all right? Hinata asked gently. She activated her Byakugan to make sure he wasn't under a genjutsu or anything was disturbing his chakra network. Hinata. Naruto struggled to get out. He was seeing her but not really seeing her. Walking slowly over to him as to not startle him, she sat down on the grass a foot away from him. If he wanted her to move closer she would, but for now, she would keep some distance from him. The 10 tails, you were standing there and the rod went through you. Naruto said. He's confused. His breathing is irregular. I have to get him to calm down. He won't understand me clearly in this state. Hinata assessed. Naruto-kun, we are going to take a deep breath 1.2.3 okay and exhale 1.2.3. She says as she takes a deep breath with Naruto. Naruto breathes in and then out his eyes, never leaving Hinata's. Good job Naruto-kun, let's do it again, in 1.2.3 and now exhale 1.2.3. Hinata repeats this a few more times, and each time Naruto breathes easier and his eyes become more focused. Are you feeling any better Naruto-kun? Hinata asks softly. Yeah, thanks, I just need a minute. Naruto replied. Once he was calm he was able to fully look at her. Hinata was in a silverish nightgown and a light robe. Her damp bangs clung crookedly to her forehead a bit. Blue eyes roamed over her legs and a blush dusted his cheeks. Once he noticed the bruising he frowned, his eyebrows creased in worry. Are you hurt? Naruto asked. It's just some light bruising, I was on a mission earlier, Hinata said. Oh, I'm sure you're tired, I'll get out of your hair. Naruto said, smiling and letting out a laugh, making a move to stand up. Naruto-kun, sit down. Now, Hinata said firmly. The blonde was not going to show up almost naked at her doorstep and think he was just going to smile, laugh it off and she was going to forget about it. Naruto slightly flinched, not used to hearing that tone coming from the usually soft-spoken Hyuga. So he sat down and waited. Are you cold? Would you like me to grab you something to cover up with? Hinata asked. Under normal circumstances, she would have been red as a tomato seeing Naruto in only his underwear, but this was not the time. Naruto looked down and the blush that took over his face could rival that of the red hot-blooded habanero. In his daze and haste, Naruto didn't put pants or even shoes on. I'm not cold. Yes to covering up, Naruto answered, hands trying to cover up. All right, stay here. Heading inside, Hinata grabbed the blanket she often uses to sit in the garden as well as asked Ko, who was watching from inside, if he could bring out a pot of tea and some cookies. After handing him the blanket, she sat down back. Moments later Ko returned with another Hyuga. The other Hyuga sat the tray of tea and cookies in the middle of Hinata and Naruto. Uzumaki-san, Ko said as he threw a pair of Hyuga training pants at the blonde. Try and make yourself more respectable in the presence of Lady Hinata. He said bowing to Hinata. Both Hyugas went into the compound. Ko leaves to inform Lord Hiashi. The two sat in a somewhat comfortable silence drinking tea and snacking on cookies until Hinata asked the question Naruto wanted to avoid. Naruto-kun, do you want to talk about what made you so upset? Not really, but there's no avoiding it anymore. Naruto said softly. I'm listening. Whenever you're ready, Hinata said. She reached out and squeezed his hand. Hinata watched Naruto intently. This subdued blonde sitting in front of her worried her. Ever since coming home, I've been having dreams, well more like nightmares from when pain attacked and from the war, Naruto said, staring at the steam rising from his cup. Hinata understood. She had her fair share of nightmares of both. She knew the others did too. Grandma Tsunade said, it's cause I'm not busy. I didn't have time to grieve properly before running off something about processing trauma. Lady Tsunade's assessment made sense to Hinata. Naruto went from chasing after Sasuke-san, to losing Jiraiya-san, to fighting pain, to jumping in a war. Naruto-kun got to meet his father and lose him all over him, lost his arm, lost a friend, and even when the war was once Naruto-kun only came home during his recovery, then he was off again helping the other nations. While the rest of the Rookie 9 were at home rebuilding and grieving, they were together and recovered together. Naruto-kun was all alone jumping from project to project without rest. Hinata thought. It's usually the same stuff, but tonight was different. Kurama said something about memories, but the stupid fox won't answer me when I try to talk to him. Naruto said. Annoyance crept in his voice. You shouldn't talk about Kurama-san like that, Hinata said softly. She could see what the fox was doing, forcing Naruto to talk to someone about it. Kurama's ear twitched at Hyuga's comment but otherwise stood quiet. Naruto huffed out. Naruto-kun, how was tonight different? Hinata asked. They needed to get to the root of the problem so that he could start healing too. You, Naruto said straightforwardly. Me, Hinata questioned, her delicate brows furrowing in confusion. You jumped in front of me, then Neji jumped in front of you. You jumped in front of me, you jumped to protect me. Hinata nodded, he was ranting now. But that wasn't the first time you did that, was it? Blue eyes locked onto white for a moment. No one spoke. No, it wasn't, Hinata answered. It was hazy before. I remember you jumped down to help me when pain had me pinned, but I couldn't remember what happened afterward. Sakura said that you were hurt, but I couldn't remember exactly how you got hurt. You said you loved me, Naruto said, looking into Hinata's eyes. Hinata may have the same eyes as the rest of her clan, but hers were special. Naruto could see every emotion she was feeling in her eyes. Her eyes couldn't lie, so Naruto waited. We waited to see if her eyes would show disgust. Apprehension showed something to show him that in his desperation to feel loved he imagined the kindest person he knew telling him they loved him. He was waiting for rejection. I do, Hinata said. Naruto's eyes widened. This was it, Hinata thought. Closing her eyes and taking a deep breath, Hinata tried to pour all her feelings into her eyes. Into the words she was about to say. This was not the time to falter, and she wouldn't. Opening her eyes, she began confessing. I was always chasing after you. I just wanted to be able to walk next to you. I just wanted to be with you. You changed me. Your smile saved me, Naruto-kun. I wasn't afraid to die fighting pain if it meant that I could protect you. I wasn't afraid of the 10 tails, but if you were the last thing I saw before I died, then I would have died happy. Naruto-kun, you were the only person I would give my heart to. There is no one else but you. Blue eyes stared at the girl in surprise. Looking at her, the moonlight covered Hinata in an ethereal glow, and Naruto is reminded of the water fairy he saw dancing in the river on a mission. She was beautiful. The dam broke inside of Naruto and his body started to shake. Tears built up in his eyes and started to fall. What's this feeling? Naruto thought. Naruto felt himself being pulled into a hug. Soft hands held him close. I love you, Uzumaki Naruto. You've inspired me. Every time I fell, I thought of you and I could stand. Every time I faltered, I thought of you and my stance became firmer. When I wanted to give up, what pushed me was the thought that one day I would be able to walk beside you. Hinata said softly while she held him. Pulling back from him, she looked him in his teary eyes. I love you, she said before pulling him back into a hug. Hinata, Naruto started. You don't have to say it just because those are my own feelings. We can talk about it some other time, but right now you need something else. Hinata cut him off. Nodding his head, together they sat under the moonlight in each other's arms. Burying his face in her neck, Naruto said. Thank you. For what? Hinata asked. Loving me, Naruto whispered, holding her tighter. After Hinata's confession, Naruto and Hinata could be seen together most of the time. The former looking for every opportunity to be with the latter. When Naruto wasn't teaching taijutsu at the academy, he could be seen watching Hinata study medical ninjutsu. When the Chunin exam came around, the first person he wanted to tell was Hinata. Hinata, the girl who loved him. His heart did a weird twisty thing whenever he thought of her. Is this how Dad felt about Mom? Naruto thought. He was confused. He didn't know anything about being in love. He thought he loved Sakura, but the feelings weren't the same. This was different. Sakura told him she loved him one time too, and Naruto felt none of the twisty thing. He had been angry with her. How did Hinata know she was in love? Naruto wondered. He wanted to ask her, but he felt like this was something that it was important to figure out on his own. At first, all the time he spent with the Hyuga had made him feel bad. He wanted to give her an answer, but he didn't know it. Hinata insisted it was fine, that they could still hang out as friends. I told you before, Naruto-kun, I want to walk beside you, whatever that means. Hinata's voice echoing in his mind. Hinata said she had a shift at the hospital later today. If we leave now. One of Naruto's shadow clones thought out loud. 5 different blonde heads perked up at that idea. How about it, boss? Another said as it threw its cards on the table in defeat. That's a great idea. Glad I thought of it, Datbeo. Naruto said cheekily. Hey. The clone couldn't finish since Naruto dispelled the jutsu. After getting dressed and making himself presentable, he headed over to the Hyuga compound. Leaving his shoes at the door, a Hyuga branch member walked him to where Hinata was. Realizing that she was in the garden, she confessed to him as he blushed. Then realizing that she was sitting in the blankets we were almost naked in, his blush intensified. For a ninja, Hinata's awareness of her surroundings is shit, Naruto thought. Smirking evilly, he tried to sneak up behind her. I'll scare her good, Datbeo. Naruto was directly behind her now. What do you think you're doing, Naruto-kun? Hinata said. Her voice was as soft and sweet as ever, but something about it didn't feel right. The hair on Naruto's neck stood up. It seemed like you were trying to sneak up on a Hyuga. Hinata teased, raising an eyebrow. How did I forget about her Byakugan? Naruto thought in shame. Because you're an idiot. Kurama laughed inside Naruto. Stupid fox, Naruto responded, sticking his tongue out. Stupid brat, Kurama said. Hee hee, I forgot about that. Naruto laughed and rubbed his prosthetic hand behind his head. Hinata laughed and Naruto thought it was the best laugh. What are you doing here, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked. Well, I thought we could hang out or something before you had to go to the hospital. Naruto said. Hinata's eyes widened in surprise. Despite Naruto's increased presence around her, Hinata is still surprised every time he comes looking for her. Her heart soared. Blushing, Hinata nodded. All right, let me put everything away, Hinata said. For the first time, Naruto noticed that Hinata wasn't just sitting outside enjoying the summer weather. He noticed a leather-bound book, a bowl with some mushed-up stuff inside, and empty containers. What ya got there, Hinata? Naruto sat down and started sniffing the contents of the bowl. Hey Hinata, this stuff smells kind of weird. Naruto could never associate Hinata with weird smells. He put the weird mush down and waited for Hinata to explain. I'm making medicinal ointment and pressing flowers, Hinata explained, laughing at Naruto's expression. But why does it smell? What's flower pressing? Naruto asked. Flower pressing is when you preserve the flowers by flattening them. Hinata offered Naruto her notebook so he could see. While Naruto browsed through her book, she said, some of the herbs I use are the combination of herbs sometimes smell weird. I add other things to it to lessen the smell, but I mostly want to be able to get the maximum benefits each herb provides. Naruto nodded his head, accepting the explanation. He didn't want to hold Hinata's hands if they smelt funny. He might anyway though. He liked the feel of her hands in his. Hinata's hands were soft despite the years of training with her clan's jutsu. Can I try? Naruto asked sincerely. Nodding, Hinata began showing Naruto how to use the flower presser. Naruto ran around the garden gently plucking the flowers he wanted to preserve. That's how Hanabi found Hinata and Naruto when she went to tell her sister lunch was ready. Hinata was laughing at something Naruto said. The blonde was holding up what appeared to be a flattened flower over his head. Her elder sister tried not to laugh when Naruto fell. Hinata applied some of the ointment she was making on Naruto and gave him the rest for later. The two talked and continued pressing flowers. Hanabi smiled. Naruto may not realize it, but he was falling in love with her sister. Hanabi asked her guard if they could have someone bring Naruto and Hinata's lunch outside. Hey, Hinata, Naruto asked. She acknowledges him. Maybe next time I can show you the plants I grew at home. Naruto asked. Blushing, Hinata said, I'd like that. The two sat and ate in silence. When they were done, Naruto helped Hinata clean up. He put the flower book she helped him make in his pocket and walked Hinata to the hospital before going his separate way. If Sakura saw the blush taking over Hinata's face, she didn't say anything about it. The two girls started their rounds at the hospital. Later that night there was a tap against Naruto's bedroom window. Noticing the messenger bird, he opened it and took the scroll of its back. He had a mission. The next morning, Naruto arrived at the Hokage's office. Seeing Sakura and Sai there, Naruto grinned. So the gang's back together again, huh? Naruto asked. Seems like it, dickless, Sai said. Naruto glared at Sai while Sakura, Kakashi, and Shikamaru looked on laughing. Some things never change, Sakura thought. So what's the mission, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto asked. Sakura quickly smacked Naruto upside his head. Have some respect, Naruto, he's the Hokage now. Call him by his title. Sakura lectured. He's lucky I didn't call him an old pervert. Naruto sassed, rubbing the back of the head. Sweat dropping, Kakashi waved Sakura off. It's fine, Sakura. I prefer sensei anyways. As for the mission, it's an A rank. You are to guard a VIP client. They have requested additional security and asked for Naruto specifically. Kakashi explained. Who's the VIP? Sai asked. A feudal lord from the land of mountains, Shikamaru said, showing a picture of the lord. She was in the village discussing trade treaties. She has requested for additional escorts to accompany her back to the land of mountains. Shikamaru explained. The land of mountains. Isn't the land trying to pressure the Cage and the feudal lord into unfair resource and mission treaties? Sakura asked. That's exactly right. The land of mountains isn't exactly financially stable. They don't have a ninja village or exclusive trade agreements with neighboring lands, so the feudal lord of the land of mountains has been trying to push for the land of wind to lower their cost for missions, and trade with nothing to benefit the land of wind. The land of wind's feudal lord declined, and so has the Cage, thus leaving the land of mountains out in the cold. Kakashi started explaining since Naruto was going to need to learn the world of politics eventually. So why'd she come here? We have exclusive contracts with the land of wind and the sand village. Even if we wanted to help, we couldn't not without going behind Gaara's back. Naruto said the studying Iruka sensei forced him to do coming in handy. She was hoping to persuade us in her favor, Kakashi said. But why did she personally request Naruto? And if the land of mountains is struggling financially, how are they able to afford an A-rank mission? Sakura asked. Who knows? Bring her home. Come right back. That's the mission. Naruto, be on your guard around her. I got a feeling that she didn't ask for you because she is a fan. Kakashi ordered. Kakashi-sensei was right, Naruto thought bitterly. Ashini Shigekari was absolutely annoying. First, she thought Sai was him. Next, she forces Sakura to walk behind her entourage and him in the front next to her. For the next 8 days, the woman clung to him as if her life depended on him. She would throw herself randomly, forcing him to catch her. She kept touching him. At all times, she would talk about how she admired his strength and would run her long-ass nails against his cheek. Then she would talk about how she heard that he's good friends with the Cage. Naruto was uncomfortable. He was suffocating under this woman. He missed Hinata. On the 5th day of their trip, Naruto overheard some of her personal guards talking about how Hikari was going to try and use him to force the lands of wind and fire to fund her country. If she could get the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki to fall in love with her or even manage to seduce him, we'd have the strongest weapon. It could go one of 2 ways. Since he was friends with the Cage, we'll ask again, and if not, we threaten them with war. The guards laughed unknowingly, revealing their plan. The rest of the trip was uneventful, with a couple of bandits here and there. Once they got to the gates of her estate, Team 7 turned right around and ran as fast as they could. Stopping at a dango stand somewhere in the land of wind, Team 7 had a chance to breathe. That was the most awful woman I've met in my entire life, and I've met Sakura, Sai said. Naruto froze still as he felt Sakura's anger wash over him. Sakura sent Sai flying into a nearby tree. Sakura sat down and eyed Naruto, waiting to see if he would laugh. Satisfied, she put her plan into action. This is my chance, Sakura thought. Ignoring the last part of Sai's comment, I kind of agree she was awful, Sakura said. Yeah, I couldn't see myself loving someone like her at all. I do feel bad that her people are suffering, but from what I've heard from her entourage, she's to blame, Naruto said. Oh, so who could you see yourself loving then, Naruto? Sakura asked. A flash of dark blue popped into his mind and Naruto fought off a blush. Is it Hinata? Sakura probed. I'm not sure. I have these feelings that are all new to me, and I'm just unsure of what to do, Naruto admitted honestly. I read in a book that usually people go on dates to explore the romantic side of their relationship, regardless if the people involved with each other have feelings for each other or not. I've also read that it is customary for UAL intercourse to happen on the 3rd date. Sai supplied. He was struggling through his own feelings about Ino and had gotten good advice from the books. A horrified expression was on both Naruto and Sakura's faces. Leave it to Sai to say something mildly helpful and then ruin it by being an emotionally stunted idiot. First of all, Sai, UAL intercourse should only happen when both people are ready, not after a third date. It is not an obligation to be performed. Sakura lectured and rolled her eyes when she saw Sai pull out a notebook and start writing notes. Second of all, Sai actually has a point. Dating might be the answer to figuring out what you feel for Hinata. Sakura continued. Uzumaki Naruto, this is your mission, Sakura said as she stood up on the bench they were sitting on. Take Hyuga Hinata on a date, Sakura declared. A date, huh? Naruto thought. I'm taking her to Ichiraku's, Dadbeo, Naruto said excitedly. Ichiraku's is not for a first date, Naruto, Sakura said, exasperated by her friend's obsession with ramen. Ichiraku's is for every occasion, Naruto argued. They started walking. Sakura was ahead of both Sai and Naruto, talking about the proper places for dates. Psst, Naruto, Sai whispered. Looking over at Sai, he sees a book being handed to him. Taking it from him, Naruto read the cover. All you need to know about dating. A guide, Naruto read. It might come in handy, Sai said. Naruto considered throwing the book at Sai's head but decided he might actually need it and put the book inside his kunai pouch. I'm asking Hinata on a date. The thought made him feel warm. When Team 7 returned to the village hidden in the leaves, Naruto avoided Hinata like how Grandma Tsunade avoided blood. He needed a plan. Naruto was known for being spontaneous and unpredictable, but on the way home, Sakura made it clear that girls didn't like last-minute or thrown-together dates. They appreciated the effort that a potential partner put into planning the dates. They could be planned and spontaneous. The hell? I thought spontaneous was supposed to be unplanned. This is hard. Naruto thought. Pulling out the book Sai lent him, Naruto hid in his apartment planning the perfect date. It took Naruto a week to read Sai's book and plan an awesome date using Sakura's and the book's advice. Naruto took a piece of paper off his desk and scribbled something down. Hey, Hinata, sorry I haven't seen you in a while. I've been a bit busy, Dadbeo. Meet me at Training Ground 3 for a sparring session tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Naruto read the note out loud. Nodding his head, he summoned a shadow clone and gave him the letter. Give this to Hinata, wait for her answer and then dispel. Don't give away the plan. Naruto ordered the clone. You got it, boss. The clone said before running out the front door. The clone headed to the hospital first since it was closer. If she was there then he would check the compound. Arriving at the hospital, clone Naruto went up to the nurse at the reception desk and asked, "Is Hinata Hyuga working today?" Nodding, the nurse directed clone Naruto to the hospital's training lab room. Peeping through the window, clone Naruto could see Hinata with her Byakugan activated performing some sort of surgery. Deciding that it would be better to wait for her to finish than to interrupt, the clone waited about 15 minutes. Seeing that she was done, the clone Naruto knocked and walked in. Hello Naruto-kin, what are you doing here? Hinata asked. Normally Hinata would be excited to spend time with Naruto, but her medical ninjutsu certification exam was just around the corner and she didn't have the heart to tell Naruto she couldn't hang out with him today. Just making a delivery, here you go, clone Naruto said. Hinata scanned the contents of the note and to say she was slightly confused was an understatement. While Hinata didn't view herself as weak anymore, she knew she was nowhere near Naruto's level. So are you coming? Clone Naruto asked. All right, Hinata said hesitantly. Poof. A cloud of smoke rose from where the shadow clone dispelled. That's odd, Hinata thought. Usually, Naruto-kun talks a mile a minute. The clone was very quiet and even Naruto's note was kept short. Hinata mused. Returning to the task at hand, Hinata looked at the model in front of her. She was attempting to replicate the surgery that Lady Tsunade performed on Lee-san. Hinata remembered the lecture she received from Lady Tsunade about the use of the Byakugan in medical ninjutsu. Hinata had the potential to perform surgeries and medical treatment that would otherwise have been too complicated and risky for normal shinobi. Lee-kun's surgery was a prime example. It had a success rate of 30% at the beginning. After more information was discovered, that rate increased. Having the Byakugan and gentle fist technique would have the success rate at 65% to start with. However, Neither Lady Tsunade nor Sakura-chan knew intimately how the Byakugan works or the gentle first technique, so Hinata had a much harder time than when Sakura-chan learned. Hinata's task was to not only learn medical ninjutsu but also to figure out how to get the Byakugan and gently first to work in tandem. For example, instead of simply shutting off a chakra point, Lady Tsunade and Sakura theorized that Hinata could rewire the chakra network. Hinata just had to figure out how. She learned the fundamentals of medical ninjutsu and then began incorporating her clan's ability with it, and Hinata was proud of her results. She was nervous about taking the exam and she focused on the concepts that she created herself. Focusing once more, she started the surgery over again. The next morning Hinata arrives at training ground 3 and sees Naruto meditating. "Good morning Naruto-kun," Hinata greeted. "Morning Hinata," Naruto said as he opened his eyes and took in her appearance. Hinata had her hair tied in its signature low ponytail. She wore cream-colored pants, a mesh long-sleeve shirt, and a short kimono blouse with the Hyuga emblem on both arms. She looked good, more confident and sure of herself, Naruto noted. Standing up, he joined Hinata for a warm-up. Once they finished their warm-up, they stood opposite of each other and Hinata activated her Byakugan. "Naruto-kun, please don't hold anything back. I am a ninja of the hidden leaf just like you, I can hold my own," Hinata said. Smirking, Naruto said, "I wouldn't dream of holding back against you Hinata, let's do our best Datbayo." Naruto was excited. He could feel Kurama's excitement as well. Originally he planned to ask Hinata to spar as a way for them to bond over their shared nindos. He forgot to mention that, but it kinda felt like Hinata understood what he was trying to say. Naruto was impressed. He never thought of Hinata as weak. In fact, he thought she was one of the strongest people he knew, but this was on another level. She was faster than she was before, her strikes never hesitated. He was in awe of her. Hinata put her all into their match. Naruto was a brawler. He had no distinctive style. It was a bit of everything, which was hard for her to counter with her clan's fighting style, so she focused on speed and focused attacks. She wasn't faster than Naruto, but whenever she found an opening in his defense she went in fast and she went in hard. Naruto noticed that she was avoiding his prosthetic arm. He could see the little dots on his left arm standing out against his tan skin, and his other arm was left untouched. The bandages that covered his arm weren't even fraying. Naruto smiled. Hinata was Hinata through and through. At her very core, she was a kind and gentle soul who didn't want to hurt others. She was looking out for him in the middle of a match when they were supposed to not be holding back. Naruto dodged an incoming strike from her twin lion fist and used the opening to hit her with an incomplete Rasengan. Hinata flew a few feet away, running over to her. Naruto stopped short when he got a good look at her. Hinata was sitting on the ground panting. She had dirt patches on her face from when she fell. She was breathing heavy and her mesh undershirt was torn, exposing her stomach. Naruto's eyes narrowed at the large scar on her stomach. It was out of place on the smooth ivory skin that surrounded it. Hinata looked up and Naruto when she finally caught her breath. Looking down at her stomach once she realized what he was looking at, she waited for him to gather his thoughts. "Why do you have a scar? Didn't Sakura heal you?" Naruto asked. "Medical ninjutsu can only do so much. Sometimes it's better to let the body heal naturally. She just sped up the process enough so my life wasn't in any immediate danger," Hinata explained. She wasn't insecure about the mark. It was proof of her convictions, her love for Naruto. There were other people who needed the pink-haired girl's skills. She wouldn't stress Sakura about a scar. "It doesn't bother me Naruto-kun, I'm a ninja, remember?" she said, smiling. Naruto smiled back and helped her up. "Are you all right?" he asked. "A couple of bruises here and there, otherwise I'm fine," Hinata said as she began opening the chakra points she closed during their spar. "Hey, Hinata," Naruto asked. "Yes, let's go on a date," Naruto said. Naruto heard a thud hit the ground and he turned and found Hinata passed out on the ground. Laughing, he picked her up and leaned her against a nearby tree, waiting for her to wake up. 3 minutes later, white eyes opened and met cerulean blue. "What happened?" Hinata asked. "You passed out when I asked you out on a date," Naruto explained. Her eyes widened and she made an unintelligible sound. "Me, you, date, what do you say?" Naruto said. Hinata nodded her head dumbly and Naruto laughed. Since you have your exam tomorrow morning, how about we get dinner after? Naruto asked. Hinata nodded, still unable to put thoughts into words. Accepting her answer, Naruto got up and said, "We should do this again sometime. I'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Hinata." With that, the blonde ran off. He had things to plan and people to see. His first stop was to a new modern upscale restaurant. He spoke to the manager and made reservations for tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Did he use his status as the hero of the war to get the reservation? Yes, but Sakura told him no. Ichiraku ramen. A girl's first date should be classy and memorable, especially a classy girl like Hinata. Sakura had lectured. Naruto never really thought of Hinata as classy. Hinata was just Hinata. Naruto did however note that most of the Hyuga were uppity and had a stiff air around them. Hinata never slouched. She was always formal and polite, and she came from a very influential clan. People didn't call Hinata the Byakugan princess for no reason. Naruto remembered Sakura telling him. Naruto's next stop was to the academy. He needed Iruka-sensei's advice. In hindsight, Iruka probably wasn't the best person to ask for advice about women. "I've never even seen him talk to a woman outside of school," Naruto muttered as he listened to Iruka lecture him about manners, how to dress, to be more grown up. He decided he would take some advice from the chapter of Sai's book, How to Woo a Woman. Lastly, Naruto went shopping because he definitely didn't have any clothes that would be appropriate for the restaurant. Later that day, Hinata met up with Sakura for their weekly lunch. "Are you nervous about the exam?" Sakura asked as she placed her order. "I thought I would be, but I think I'm ready," Hinata said. "That's great. Lady Tsunade is really excited to see how you managed to incorporate the Byakugan into medical ninjutsu, so even if you don't do as well as you hope on the other parts of the exam, she'll still certify you based on your work with the Byakugan." Sakura reassured the girl. Hinata frowned. She didn't want to just get certified because she had the Byakugan. She wanted to prove that she deserved it because of her skill. "Anyway, enough about that. What's new with you?" Sakura asked. "Well, Naruto-kun asked me on a date this morning after our spar," Hinata said shyly. "You, me, date, what do you say?" Hinata's face flushed thinking about it. "Hinata, that's great. I'll bring the girls by your house tomorrow and we'll help you get ready," Sakura decided. "Sakura, you don't have to go through the trouble," Hinata tried to argue. "Do I dress that badly that everyone thinks that I am incapable of dressing myself?" Hinata thought to herself. "I insist. Besides, it's been a while since we all hung out. It'll be fun," Sakura said. The next day, Hinata woke up early for her exam. Lady Tsunade, Shizune, and Sakura were at the hospital's lab. Hinata had done this before. She could do this. The first part of the exam was basic medical ninjutsu practical. Sakura would ask Hinata to perform a specific task. She would do it. Tsunade, Sakura, and Shizune would take notes. The scribbling of pens made Hinata nervous. She tried to focus and pushed through. Next, Shizune would be testing Hinata on herbology and poisons. Shizune handed Hinata a poison, then instructed Hinata to create an antidote using herbs and other ingredients found in the village. Once she found what she needed, she headed back to the hospital and made what she hoped was the antidote. Shizune put one of her senbon in the poisons and stabbed herself with it. "Shizune," Hinata said. Her eyes went wide. "This is the most effective way to test the poison. If your antidote is ineffective, you fail. I have an antidote I created before the exam just in case," Shizune explained. It was a simple paralytic, but Hinata was still worried. They waited 30 minutes. Once Shizune regained feeling, Hinata exhaled a breath she didn't know she was holding. Next, Shizune had her create poison from ingredients and herbs around the village. Hinata had no interest in making or creating poisons, but she learned. Hinata had earned her status by creating antidotes for Lady Chiyo of the Sand's poisons. Poisons and antidotes go hand in. Sakura had shown her the ingredients Sasori of the red sand used on Kasuke's brother. So, Hinata replicated that poison and presented it to Shizune, however she did not inject herself with the poison this time. "I know you're a kind person, but it is fundamental that you understand that poisons and antidotes are two sides to the same coin. We can't create antidotes without understanding the poison, and we cannot create a poison without understanding that more often than not an antidote can be made. You've demonstrated this, Shizune praised. If Shizune was being honest, she was not expecting Hinata to do so well when it came to poisons because of her kind nature, but she was pleased that the girl proved her wrong. Finally, Tsunade instructed her to use her Byakugan. Hinata went through the basic medical ninjutsu with her Byakugan. Next she ran through the surgery she practiced the other day. Where are your notes on the Byakugan and medical ninjutsu? Tsunade asked. Hinata handed Lady Tsunade her medical journey. The journal is where Hinata made observations about how her Byakugan worked with medical ninjutsu as well as for instructions on how to do it. This is very well written. As medical ninjas, we have a duty to keep researching ways to improve medicine. Just because we have a way to do something doesn't mean there isn't a better way to do it. Tsunade lectured. It was one of the things she hated about the Hyuga. They were stuck in their ways and wouldn't allow the Byakugan outside of what it was traditionally used for, which was combat. I understand, Lady Tsunade, Hinata said. Well, then I'm pleased to announce that you are hereby certified as a medic, Tsunade said, and she smiled warmly. You had high marks in all subjects, even the ones that were thought to be the most difficult for you to do, Shizune said. Congratulations, Hinata, Sakura said as she hugged the girl. Smiling, Hinata said, thank you, I won't let you down. She passed and she had a date with Naruto. Later that day Hinata opened her door to Ino, Sakura, Tenten, and surprisingly Temari. The girls had several bags with them and Hinata could already feel her excitement from earlier fade. Hinata, we bought clothes for your special date with Naruto, Ino said as she wiggled her blonde eyebrows at the girl. I appreciate that, but I don't think that was necessary, Hinata said. Don't worry about it, it's an excuse for us girls to gossip and dress up, Tenten said. Especially since you'll get married soon and start having babies left and right and have no time for us, Ino jokes. The thought of being Naruto's wife and having children instantly had Hinata's face red. As the Leafs Kunoichi busied themselves in Hinata's room pulling out outfits, Hinata sat next to Temari. I don't mean to intrude, the Nara idiot dumped me with the blonde and she brought me here, Temari explained. That's all right, Hinata said. She didn't mind. Soon Temari loosened up and began helping the other girls dress Hinata like a doll. Hinata, try this on, Sakura said as she shoved a dress in Hinata's hands. Hinata had no say, especially once Hanabi joined in. Hinata Nichan, you need better clothes, Hanabi said flatly as she looked through Hinata's closet and then went towards the pile of dresses the girls brought. Once a dress was decided, Temari did her hair while Ino did her makeup. Hinata really appreciated their help, but it didn't feel like her, but she didn't want to seem ungrateful towards their help, so she sat there while her friends went to town. It was 7 p.m. and Naruto was standing outside the Hyuga compound and he's never felt more uncomfortable in his life. Naruto wore a black suit with the vest the same color as his eyes. Sakura had banned the color orange for the night. His hair was slicked down with 4 different hair products. He thought he looked stupid and he could hear the stupid fox laughing at him, so he knew he looked stupid. He would deal with it because it was for Hinata. If this is the kind of look girls like, then he would do it for her. When Hinata stepped out of the compound, Naruto's jaw hit the floor. Hinata's hair was curled around her shoulders, her bangs were swept to the side. Her cheeks were extra rosy and her lips were just as red. She was wearing a lilac dress with white flowers on it. The dress had a plunging neckline and a high slit. She also wore a pair of white heels. Holy, Naruto said. Hinata. He couldn't get the words he wanted to say out, he just kept staring. Hinata squirmed under Naruto's gaze. Looking at him, Hinata couldn't help but think Naruto was the most handsome maid she'd ever seen. You look very nice, Naruto-kun, Hinata managed to say. Thanks, you look nice too, Naruto said and extended his arm to her. The entire walk to the restaurant both Hinata and Naruto were uncomfortable. Hinata kept stumbling in the heels Ino picked. Naruto kept pulling at his face trying to keep a more mature look instead of his normal goofy grin. Once they got to the restaurant and got their seats, Hinata was pulling at the slit trying to keep it closed and pulling at her front trying to cover up her as much as she could. The mascara Ino put on her eyelashes was bothering her. Hinata was upset. This isn't how she wanted her first date with Naruto to go. Naruto was irritated. He was following the rules Sakura told him and what he got from the book, and Hinata looked upset and unimpressed. What did he do wrong? So, how did your exam go? Naruto asked, trying to make small talk as the waiter filled their glasses with water. It went well. I passed, Hinata said, rubbing at her sensitive eyes. Hinata, I mean good job, Naruto said. Hinata was confused. Naruto was an extremely cheerful and expressive person. For him to pretend that he wasn't excited for her to pass was confusing. This is a very nice restaurant, Hinata said as she looked around at the fancy decor. Glad you like it, Naruto said. This isn't how he was expecting this to go. He thought dates were supposed to be fun, not stiff and awkward. He noticed Hinata pulling at her dress and frowned. Hinata looked up and noticed Naruto fidgeting with the water. Hinata stepped on Naruto's foot by accident and Naruto knocked the cup he was holding on Hinata in surprise and pain. Naruto looked at Hinata in horror as he held his foot. The water spilled on her pretty dress and Hinata looked relieved instead of upset. Like she was expecting this night to be a disaster. Then she laughed. She was laughing at his failure and Naruto could feel his heart twist in a painful way. Thank you Naruto-kun, Hinata said in between laughs. Hinata, I'm sorry, Naruto said as he got up to go get napkins. Don't be. I'm sorry Naruto-kun. When I wanted to go on our first date I wasn't expecting to look like this or for you to look like that. Hinata explained. Do you not like the way I look? Naruto asked. The waiter comes and places 2 menus on the table. You look handsome but you do not look like yourself, Hinata said. And you're not acting like yourself. This is how everyone told me to dress and act, Naruto said, confused. Hinata reached over the table and ruffled Naruto's hair loose until his fluffy spikes were pointing in all sorts of directions. Who told you? Hinata asked and she leaned back in her chair and attempted to pull the dress in a more conservative way. Iruka-sensei, Sakura, the book Sai gave me, Naruto answered. Hinata giggled. I never loved you because of your looks or how you acted. I loved you because no matter what you were always yourself and followed your own path. Hinata explained. Naruto thought about it. Hinata was right. The makeup and the fancy dress were nice but this wasn't Hinata. The shit wasn't him and this expensive ass restaurant wasn't him and it wasn't Hinata despite what Sakura said. Let's leave. What? Hinata said, surprised. Let's go. You've been uncomfortable since we left your house and I'm uncomfortable acting like someone I'm not, so let's leave. Naruto said. He got up and grabbed Hinata's hand and ran out of the restaurant, leaving a confused waitstaff behind. Once they were out on the street, Naruto started laughing at the ridiculousness of the situation. Hinata joined in too. Do you want to change into something else? There's a clothing store nearby. Naruto asked as he took off his button-up and vest and just left the t-shirt he had on. He could deal with the slacks. I'd like that, Hinata said, using Naruto's button-up to cover herself up some. Entering the store, Hinata and Naruto browsed around for an outfit for Hinata. Naruto picked out a simple short lavender kimono and a teal obi. Hinata found a pair of sandals she liked and changed them in the dressing room. Feeling better, they paid for the items and put their original clothes in the bag the cashier gave them. Walking, Naruto took Hinata's hand and led her to Ichiraku. Do you want ramen? Naruto asked, hoping this would be a better place for them than the fancy restaurant. I'd love some. Hinata smiled as they made their way inside. Sitting down, they both ordered and all of the tension from earlier melted away. They were both comfortable and in their own skin. This is better, Naruto said. Much better, Hinata replied. Naruto reached over and ruffled Hinata's hair the same way she did to him in the restaurant. Once her bangs returned to the middle of her face, Naruto pulled his hand away. Smiling, he said, Hinata, you really are beautiful, Datbeo. Naruto smiled softly. Hinata's eyes widened and she forced herself to keep eye contact because of the way Naruto-kun was looking at her. She knew she had to memorize it. They stared at each other, neither breaking eye contact. Just kiss her already, you fool, Kurama said as he grinned. He knew his host liked the girl, he just needed a push. Naruto leaned forward, never leaving Hinata's, and Hinata did the same. Once they were close enough to feel each other's breath, Naruto hesitated. Hinata didn't. She closed the gap between them and closed her eyes. Naruto closed his eyes too and pulled Hinata closer to him, savoring the feel of her mouth on his. 2 orders of miso pork ramen for the 2 lovebirds, Chuki said as he placed the bowls in front of them. Jumping apart, the 2 blushed. They spent the rest of the night talking and laughing, holding hands under the counter. When Naruto walked her home, he pulled Hinata against him and kissed her again, and Hinata wrapped her arms around his neck. "We're doing this again," Naruto declared. Hinata laughed and asked, "Kissing or a date?" Naruto let out a low growl and said, "Both." Pulling her into him again, he kissed her softly before letting her go inside. It is October now. Hinata and Naruto had been together for 3 months now. Naruto's 20th birthday would be approaching soon, so Hinata finds herself on her day off, shopping with Hanabi looking for the perfect gift. "What about this one?" Hanabi asks, pointing to a fancy kunai in a store's display window. "I don't know," Hinata says, examining the ornate kunai. "Hinata-ni-chan, you're so picky, just grab something. I don't want to spend my 1 day free from clan meetings shopping for your boyfriend," Hanabi complained, rolling her eyes. "Sorry, how are the meetings going? Do you feel prepared to lead the clan?" Hinata asked, looking at the other weapons in the display. "Father is teaching me all he can. The politics, clan laws, clan jutsu," but Hanabi started. Noticing her sister's apprehension, Hinata turned to her sister. "Hanabi, what's wrong?" she asked. "Hinata-ni-chan, I'm worried. The elders have been acting strange and secretive," Hanabi said. "I think they are going to brand you with the cage bird seal." Hinata's eyes went wide at that. Hanabi and Hinata were like night and day. It was that reason that made her father and the elders decide to replace Hinata with Hanabi. Where Hinata was shy, gentle and weak, Hanabi was strong, confident and prideful. While Hinata had the soft features of their mother, Hanabi inherited their father's sharp features. At first glance you wouldn't think that they were sisters. But they were, and Hanabi right now resembled Hinata. Hanabi stood in front of her sister with her head down and tears trailing down her cheeks, twiddling her fingers. Hinata reached for her sister and pulled her into a hug, taking one hand and stroking her sister's head. "Shish, it's all right, Hanabi," Hinata tried to soothe the girl. "It's not all right. It's not fair," Hanabi said as she clung to her sister. "Hanabi, you are the heir now. It was only a matter of time before this was brought up, but we can't talk about this here," she whispered in her sister's ear, and she continued to stroke Hanabi's hair. Hanabi froze. How could she forget her guard? As the future clan head, she needed to be accompanied by a guard at all times. She was supposed to get Hinata's guard. She knew and she trusted him. However, the elders managed to switch her guard. The woman that followed them made the hair on Hanabi's hair stand up. She was cold, always watching. Hanabi couldn't help but feel that her guard was reporting her every move to the council. Hinata felt her sister put her mask on. She let go and allowed Hanabi to fix herself. She watched as Hanabi held her head up high and a cheerful smile on her face. "Whatever you get Naruto, I'm sure he will love it," Hanabi said, changing the subject. Nodding, Hinata said, "Let's go." The 2 girls walked hand in hand looking at various stores. "Hanabi-sama, it is time to head back to the compound." "Rinagi," Hanabi's guard said. "Actually, Hanabi will be having dinner with Naruto-kun and I," Hinata said firmly. Hanabi looked at her sister like she had grown 2 heads. They were supposed to not look suspicious, and her sister was being suspicious. "The elders have," Rinagi started. "To my knowledge, you were employed as my sister's guard by our father Lord Hiashi." Hinata interrupted. "Yes, but I was recommended. Regardless of who you were recommended by, Lord Hiashi is your superior, and that is who you should be taking your orders from. Now Rinagi-san, would you please report to our father that Hanabi will be having dinner with Naruto-kun and I?" Hinata said, plastering a smile on her face before grabbing Hanabi's hand and walking away. Rinagi stood there for a minute before heading to the Hyuga compound to report to the elders and Lord Hiashi. "Who are you and what have you done with my sister?" Hanabi asked. Hinata released a breath she didn't know she was holding. "Hanabi, please. Hinata said, trying to calm her nerves. Nodding, Hanabi stood quiet. They made their way to the training ground Naruto used for his Wind Rasengan training. Seeing Naruto in the clearing next to the waterfall, Hinata waved. Frowning, Naruto waved. I hope he's not upset that I brought Hanabi, Hinata thought. What's wrong? Naruto asked as he motioned for them to sit down on the blanket. It's nothing. Do you mind if Hanabi joins us for dinner? Hinata asked. No, it's fine. Naruto opened up the bag of food he brought and served Hinata, Hanabi, and himself. Let's get this picnic started then, Naruto said. They started to eat, and both Hanabi and Naruto gagged. This tastes like shit, Hanabi said, spitting the food out of her mouth. Hanabi, Hinata chided. Yes, the food tasted awful, but she didn't want her sister making Naruto feel bad at his attempt at cooking. It's alright. This is really bad. Don't eat that, Naruto said, blushing from embarrassment. Naruto Uzumaki, I should 64 palm your ass to a tree, for making my sister eat that. Hanabi said. It's not all my fault. I burned it the first time and then Sakura helped the second. Naruto said as he started running from Hanabi. Hinata laughed. She was glad they got along. She loved them both. Watching Hanabi try to hit Naruto with her clan's technique, she got lost in thought. Noticing the faraway look on Hinata's face as he dodged another attack, Naruto jogged over to her and sat down. Hinata, I know you said nothing was wrong but you look upset, Naruto said. Hanabi joined them on the blanket and watched as her sister tried to think of something to tell Naruto. The elders may be plotting to place the cage bird seal on Hinata Nichan. Hanabi, Hinata said. He should know. He's going to be the next Hokage, so maybe he can help. Hanabi lectured. She knew Hinata wouldn't want to use Naruto like that, but Hanabi would do anything to keep her older sister safe and happy. Hinata, Naruto said. Hinata looked at Naruto and all traces of playfulness were gone. Why didn't you say anything? Naruto asked. Hanabi is suspicious, but there isn't anything to do and I didn't wanna burden you with our clan's problem. Hinata said. It's not a suspicion. I heard two of them talking before a meeting. Hanabi said. Hanabi, there has never been someone unsealed at my age. If it doesn't happen now, it'll happen later. Either way, I've known that I wouldn't be unsealed forever. Hinata said, touching the spot on her forehead where the seal would be. Damn it, Hinata, let somebody protect you for once. Naruto said, slamming his hand on the blanket. I love you too much to sit here and let you get branded like some animal all because of people who don't understand the kind of strength you have, Naruto ranted. Everything paused upon hearing Naruto's confession. You love me? Hinata asked, her eyes wide. I knew it, Hanabi said. Well yeah, Naruto said, bashfully scratching his cheek with his bandaged finger. I'll give you guys a moment of privacy, Hanabi said as she got up and went to explore the top of the waterfall. Naruto took a deep breath and looked Hinata in the eyes. I was planning to tell you today. Shikamaru suggested a nighttime picnic cause there was supposed to be a comet passing through tonight. Naruto started rambling. Choji unsurprisingly is a good cook. When I told him that I was going to try and make you dinner, he gave me a backup dinner just in case what I made didn't taste good. Naruto-kun, Hinata said, her eyes already watering. I love you, Hinata, Naruto declared. You are the most amazing person I've ever met. You are so kind and caring to everyone. Every time I think of you my stomach does this weird twisty thing. You have the most adorable giggle, but when you really laugh, I could listen to you forever. You have so much compassion. Naruto ranted. Hinata, you go on and on about how much I inspire you, but, Hinata, you are my hero. When you fought Neji, you got up every single time. You saved my life twice. Every single time I needed anyone the most, you showed up. There isn't anyone else I'd choose to love than you. Naruto said. Hinata's eyes were wide. I love you too, Naruto-kun, Hinata breathed out. Grabbing her face, Naruto planted a dozen kisses on it. Giggling, Hinata basked in his affection. I love you, Naruto said as he placed the last kiss on her lips. Hanabi activated her Byakugan to see if Naruto and Hinata were done talking and smiled. Those two are made for each other, Hanabi thought as she started making her way back to them. Once she reached the blanket, she sat down and asked, so what's the plan? Hinata sighed. It's not just about you, Hinata. I promised Neji I would protect you and that I would change the Hyuga. Naruto said, rubbing circles on the back of Hinata's hands. Exactly, Hanabi said, not understanding why her sister wasn't fighting for her own freedom. This is exactly why you both cannot do anything. Hinata started. I will be the last Hyuga to have the cage bird seal. My own future children, Hanabi's future children and the future children of my clan will never know the burden of being branded. Hinata, Naruto started. Naruto-kun, you aren't Hokage yet and even so the Hokage cannot get involved in clan affairs as it stands. You have to change that, Hinata said, squeezing his hand. Hanabi, you should know our clan laws better than anyone if you are going to be the heir. But Hinata Nichan, you both can do the greatest good and change the Hyuga, when you both are in the position to do so. So if they try, promise me you'll stay silent. If they know your intentions for the clan then I'm afraid to find out what they'll do to stop you. Hinata said. I promise, Hanabi said, reaching over to hug her sister. Don't make me promise that, Naruto begged. This is the best solution. They have contacts within the feudal lord's circle. I don't want to see your dream get taken from you. Besides there is no one better than you to be our 7th Hokage. Hinata said. Fine. Naruto relented seeing that it was really their best solution. Do you guys want to eat the food Choji gave me? Naruto asked. Nodding, both girls waited for Naruto to serve the now cold food. They all ate together in silence. What time was that comet supposed to appear? Hinata asked. Around 10 p.m., Naruto replied. So soon then? Hinata said. I guess so, Naruto said as he laid down on the blanket. Hinata put her head on Naruto's stomach and let Hanabi put her head on her own as she raked her hand through her sister's brown hair. Naruto, Hanabi said. Yeah, Naruto replied, picking his head up to look at the younger Hyuga. I guess you're an okay brother to have. Hanabi huffed out, enjoying the feel of her sister's hands. The smile on Naruto's face was blinding. Hinata didn't care what the elders tried to do to her, because as long as she had her precious people, she knew she would be okay. 2 weeks later, Hinata was wrapping up her shift at the hospital when she got the summons. Lady Hinata, the elders have requested your presence immediately. Rinagi said. Hi, Hinata said. She gathered the rest of her things and made her way to the Hyuga compound. Once she got home she headed towards the meeting room. Pausing outside the door she took a deep breath and held her head high. She was no longer that frightened little girl that the elders or her father could belittle and bully. While her relationship with her father has improved, Hinata doubted that would be enough to save her from her fate. She opened the door and entered, covering her surprise at the 6th Hokage in Naruto's attendance. Her father sat at the front of the room with Hanabi on his right, the empty spot on his left was her place. Next to Hanabi, sat 4 elders. Hinata took her place on her father's left and sat next to the other 4 elders. At the end sat Lord 6th, with Naruto on his right. Now that everyone is here we can begin, Arinoru the senior elder said. Forgive me for asking Lord 6th, but why is Naruto Uzumaki in attendance? Atami, a female elder asked. Well, seeing how Naruto is my chosen successor I figured that this would be a good learning opportunity for him to learn about the clans in his village and the Hokage's role within them. That won't be a problem, will it? Kakashi said, raising an eyebrow. No, not at all. Right, Lord Hiashi? Arinoru asked. The boy is fine. Continue. Hiashi assured. Well, we are here to discuss the future of the Hyuga. Narise, another female elder, started. Several people raised their eyebrows in confusion. We would like to reinstate Hinata Hyuga as clan heir, Arinoru stated. Hinata's eyes went wide. I'm not being branded, Hinata thought to herself. I'm confused. Wasn't it your decision to take away her birthright and give it to Hanabi Hyuga, who by your clan's laws, should have been sealed since Hinata is the eldest? Kakashi voiced. Yes, well the circumstances that resulted in the original decision have changed. Narise said snottily. Circumstances my ass, Naruto muttered. Several Hyuga glared at him but Naruto didn't care. Hinata was strong and they were morons for not believing in her. Hanabi was worried. This isn't what she overheard. What was going to happen to her? she thought. Hiashi was quiet. What circumstances might those be? Kakashi questioned. Lady Hinata has proven herself to be a capable ninja as well as being skilled enough to become a student of the 5th Hokage. Soon she might be able to master the strength of 100 seals similar to Tsunade's other student, Sakura Haruno, another elder said. Yes, not to mention her assistance to Naruto Uzumaki during the pain attack, but also during the war. Several people witnessed that without Lady Hinata's help Uzumaki-san would have been captured. Arinoru said. It was the way they phrased and tried to play up her skills. Like they didn't really care about what Hinata could do, that is what made Hinata doubt the original purpose of this meeting. Then the way they tried to make it seem like Naruto owed her for saving him. There was more going on than the council was letting on. This had nothing to do with Hinata and everything to do with her growing relationship with Naruto, the future Hokage. Lady Hanabi lacks the field experience to lead and defend the clan. Atami said. Hinata, what do you think of this? Hiashi asked. Hinata contained her surprise at her father's voice. I'm afraid that the council is misinformed. I was not studying under Lady Tsunade personally, I was studying under Sakura. Hinata said. Well, what does that matter, child? You learned the same things that she did you not? Atami sneered. Sakura taught me medical ninjutsu, none of what I learned can be used for combat. Secondly, I am unable to learn the strength of 100 seal, ninja art creation rebirth, or chakra enhanced strength. Hinata explained. So you failed to learn anything useful? Another elder questioned. Frowning, Hinata said, those techniques are incompatible with the Byakugan. I am unable to store chakra the way that Sakura and Lady Tsunade are because I need chakra to fuel our clan's techniques and to activate my Byakugan. I don't have chakra reserves to spare. We tried, but that resulted in putting me in the hospital for chakra exhaustion. Hinata explained. Here we thought that you've finally proven yourself to be heir and you sit in front of your father and the Hokage making excuses for your failure. Arinoru said. Hinata wasn't surprised. She had dealt with this all her life. They didn't want her to be heir. Naruto was livid. How dare they talk about Hinata like that? I didn't see any of you during the pain attack or during the war. Naruto said. Excuse you, Narise asked. I didn't see any of you during the pain attack or during the war. I fought side by side with Hinata, Neji, Hiashi and even some other members of your clan, but none of you. So I don't think you have the right to sit here on your asses insulting Hinata's skills as a ninja, when you all were just talking about how you want her to be the clan head again. Naruto said. Uzumaki-san, you are here as a courtesy. Do not be so bold as to presume that you have any authority in this meeting. I suggest you sit still and be quiet or you will be removed. Atami said, glaring at the blonde. Hanabi is the best choice for the heir. She is skilled and more capable than I. She will make the clan proud. Hinata said, trying to get the meeting back on track. Hinata Nichan, Hanabi said. She knew what the clan was doing. They wanted to get nice with Hinata so that they could have the Hokage's ear, and in doing so Hanabi would be branded, and she knew her sister wouldn't allow her or Naruto to be manipulated by the clan. I do not want to be the clan's heir, father. Hinata said firmly. Well, then she has to have the cage bird seal placed upon her. Arinoru stated. Several voices of agreements were heard around the room. Is that really necessary? Kakashi asked. Kakashi-san, remember your place. You cannot interfere in clan affairs, but we must keep you informed on all decisions. Atami said. Hinata is a liability unsealed. We know that she and Uzumaki are in a relationship. Should someone try and get to him through her, the village hidden in the leaves would be compromised. One of the elders agreed. Their relationship shouldn't have been allowed in the first place. It's against clan laws for intermingling outside of the Hyuga. That is a liability in itself. Narise stated. Naruto couldn't keep up. First they wanted Hinata as heir, now they want to seal her, stop him from dating her and use him as a reason to brand her. Humans will always be fools, Kurama sneered from inside of Naruto. I don't understand, why are they doing this to her? Naruto thought. Hinata must be sealed for the sake of the clan and to protect the leaf. Aomi said. Enough. Hiashi was livid. Hinata will not be burdened with the cage bird seal. Hiashi said. But Lord Hiashi, it will look like favoritism. to all the children who had the seal placed upon them on Hinata's 3rd birthday. Arinoru stated. Agreed. This is a disrespect to Neji's legacy. Narise said, outrage shown on her face. Do not be so bold as to tell me about my nephew's legacy, Narise. Hiashi said. For too many years he was blinded by his own views, and complicit to the Council of Elders. No more. Neji died protecting his cousin, whom he loved and his friend. Any attack against them is a disrespect of his final act in this world. Hiashi said. My apology, Lord Hiashi. Narise said. For too many years I was complicit in this council's actions. I allowed you to disrespect my eldest and allowed you to work my youngest to the ground. I even did the same. That ends, Hiashi said as he looked at his 2 daughters. I want to apologize for my actions. I haven't been the best father to either of you, he said, bowing his head touching the floor. Hanabi and Hinata were shocked. Their father was a prideful man and here he was bowing in front of a room full of people. Father, it's all right, please get up, Hanabi said. Sitting up, Hiashi continued. I have sat here today and watched you disrespect Hinata, the Hokage in Naruto. Today I was summoned by the council, whose role is to advise the clan head, not give orders. I learned that someone in this room has been paying Hanabi's guard to spy on her and report directly to this council. I am ashamed, Hiashi said. Lord Hiashi, you misunderstand, Atami said, trying to defuse the situation. Oh, do I? Hiashi asked. A number of you have called Hinata and Lord Sixth by their given names as if you are so well acquainted that you do not have to address them by their titles. Kakashi Hatake is the 6th Hokage, he may be addressed as Lord Sixth or Rokudaime Hokage. Hiashi stated. While Hinata is not the heiress, she still must be addressed by her title. You will call her Lady Hinata at all times, do you understand? He asked. Yes, Lord Hiashi. The council said. While Naruto Uzumaki currently holds no title of prestige, he however has saved this village numerous times, and deserves the courtesy of being given respect, especially from this council, since we will be under his leadership one day. Hiashi said as he nodded to Naruto. As for Hinata's relationship with him, that is neither the business of this council nor is it mine. The clan laws specifically forbid the marriage of a Hyuga and a non-Hyuga, and unless Naruto is going to tell me right now that he is marrying my daughter, the clan cannot interfere in their affairs. Hiashi said. Hinata had to stop herself from smiling. Her father was taking her side and indirectly telling her that he was okay with their relationship. This council is dismissed, Hiashi said. The council members ran out of the room. Well, Naruto Uzumaki, are you going to marry my daughter now? Hiashi asked. Naruto did not know how to answer that question. No, Naruto said. Good. While I have no problem with your relationship with my daughter, there is a problem if you both want to marry, and if you don't mind I would rather not deal with that right now. Hiashi said as he smiled at the nervous young man. Oh, thank the sage of 6 paths. Naruto said. Hiashi, are you sure that was wise? Kakashi asked, taking the attention off of Naruto. I'm getting old and they are already too old to keep playing these games with me. Whether it was wise I'm not sure, but all I can do now is keep them in their place until Hanabi is ready. Hiashi said as he patted Hanabi's head affectionately. A sentiment we share, Kakashi said as he looked over at Naruto, who moved to sit next to Hinata now that the room was empty. You did well, Hanabi. Keep this up and the elders will think that you were an ally when in reality you were an enemy. Hiashi lectured. Yes, father. Naruto and I have a plan, but we need the help of Lord Sixth and you. Hanabi said. Of course, Hiashi and Kakashi said in unison. Naruto-kun, I asked you not to say anything, Hinata chided her boyfriend. I kept my promise. I didn't say anything about them branding you, but I wasn't about to sit here and let them call you a failure when you aren't Dadbeo. Naruto said. October 10th. Naruto turned 20 years old today. The blonde sat at a now remodeled Ichiraku ramen. All his precious people showed up. They drank, ate, and laughed. All through the night Hinata was by Naruto's side holding his hand. This was by far the best birthday that he's ever had, and they hadn't even gotten to the gifts yet. Sasuke gave him a sword similar to his own. It's made from the same stuff as Asuma-sensei's chakra blades, so you should be able to channel wine through it," he said offhandedly. Ino had heard from Hinata that he liked to grow plants in his apartment, and gave him a rare flower hybrid that she grew herself. He had to be restrained by Shikamaru's shadow possession when he opened Sai's gift. How to pleasure a woman using your hands. A guide. Naruto read the cover aloud. "I figured since you were dickless, doe eyes shouldn't suffer for your deformity," Sai said cheerfully. Once the commotion was over, Naruto opened more of his gifts. The last two unopened were from Konohamaru and Hinata. "A scarf?" Naruto asked as he held the green scarf with white stripes in his hand. "I found a whole bunch of your parents' stuff in Grandpa Sarutobi's house. This one was in a box full of children's clothes. It looks like your mom made it for you," Konohamaru said. "Wow, there's more stuff?" Naruto asked, putting the scarf around his neck eagerly. "Yeah, we can go through it tomorrow," Konohamaru replied. Last but not least, it's Hinata's turn. Sakura cheered. Hinata handed him her gift nervously. "I hope you like it, Naruto-kun," she said, sitting next to him. Opening the box, Naruto was stunned into silence. "What is it?" Iruka asked. Naruto pulled out the garment. "My father's haori," he questioned. "Not quite, but similar. This one is yours," Hinata explained. Naruto held it out completely. It was a short white cape that had a similar flame pattern around the hem like his father's did. The front was held together by a red rope. When he turned it over, his eyes almost fell out of his head. The kanji for 7th Hokage was written in bright red down the back. "Hinata, that's beautiful," Tenten said, admiring the garment as Naruto put it on. "Oh, what beautiful springtime of youth this is," Rock Lee and Guy said as they cried together in a corner. Yes, very nice. I'm not retired yet, you know," Kakashi said, smiling under his mask. After trying on the cape, he put it back gently in the box and immediately grabbed Hinata, spinning her in the air. "I love you. I love it. Now kiss the birthday boy," Naruto said as stopped spinning her. "I love you too," she said, kissing him deeply while their friends cheered. Yeah, this was the best birthday ever, Naruto thought as he kissed Hinata again. Naruto looked at the picture frames that were on his dresser. A picture of the original Squad 7. A group photo of the Rookie 9. Squad 7 with Captain Yamato and Sai. A photo of the pervy sage and him. A group photo of himself, Hinata, Hanabi, and Konohamaru at a festival. A photo of his mother and father. A picture of Tsunade, and Shizune. He looked at the other photos of Hinata and himself. "I can't believe it's been 2 years since Hinata and I started dating, Datbeo," Naruto thought out loud. Whenever Naruto thought of Hinata, he was instantly at ease. She was his friend, she was his love, she was his new dream. Of course he still wanted to become Hokage, but that was the dream created by a lonely and broken child. A child who wanted to be acknowledged. It isn't that if you become Hokage, everyone will acknowledge you. It's the ones who are acknowledged that can become Hokage. Naruto remembered what Itachi said. He had new reasons for becoming Hokage. But Hinata, Naruto's eyes roamed the picture he took of Hinata in her mother's garden. Her dark hair was loose and her eyes were closed from laughing. Hinata made Naruto want to dream of something else. He wanted a family. He wanted children. He wanted to come home and there would be his family there welcoming him home. He wanted to welcome Hinata home from long hours at the hospital. He wanted to welcome his children home from school. He wanted to grow old with Hinata. He wanted to watch their children grow up. Meet his grandchildren. He wanted to experience it all with her. Naruto looked away from the picture and at the black box he was fiddling with in his hands. He opened it and a satisfied grin appeared on his face. Once he was cleared to go back on missions regularly, Naruto saved up as much money as he could outside of his living expenses. He was gone from the village most of the time, either on missions, or going to the capital with Shikamaru to have meetings with the feudal lord. Hanabi and Hiashi accompanied them a couple of times, for Hyuga reasons. Once he saved up enough money, the next time he had to go to the capital he went into a jewelry store and bought a ring for Hinata, with Kurama's help. The Hyuga forbade marriage between outside of the Hyuga clan to keep the bloodline pure, but Hiashi, Kakashi and the feudal lord had intervened, so Naruto was free to marry Hinata, but his nerves got the better of him. So here he was in his apartment staring at the ring, thinking. Just ask her, you idiot, Kurama bit out. Naruto rolled his eyes. He knew Kurama meant well, so he ignored the tone. I know, I'll propose to her today, Naruto said as he got dressed. Today was Hinata's day off from the hospital. Naruto put the ring in his pocket and made his way to the Hyuga compound. Maybe I should get her some flowers or something. What do you think, Kurama? Naruto asked as he stopped in front of the Yamanaka flower shop. Flowers, as well as the swirling pastries. Kurama responded. Nodding, Naruto stepped inside and he saw Ino wave from her spot at the register. Hey Naruto, what brings you here? Ino asked. Just picking up some flowers for Hinata, Naruto said as he browsed through the flowers on display. Is there a special occasion? Ino pried, looking for some gossip she could share with the other girls. Nope, just cause I felt like it, Dadbeo, Naruto said as he picked out a bouquet. That's a beautiful arrangement. I'm sure Hinata will love it, Ino said as she began wrapping the rich gathering of yellow and orange blooms with pops of pink and purple, a floral representation of Naruto and Hinata. Thanks Ino, Naruto said as he waved goodbye and made his way to his next stop. After getting a box of a dozen cinnamon rolls, Naruto finally stood outside the Hyuga compound. Uzumaki-san, Lady Hinata is in the training area with Lady Hanabi and Lord Hiashi, a branch member said as she escorted him. Thanks, Naruto said and stood next to Hiashi. Noticing Naruto's extra baggage, Hiashi said, also today's the day. Yeah, Naruto said as he watched Hinata and Hanabi spar. I was beginning to think you had a change of heart, Hiashi said as he turned back to see Hinata dodge an attack from Hanabi. I'm as sure about this as I am about becoming Hokage, Naruto replied, wincing a bit as he watched Hanabi hit Hinata where her scar was. I'm glad. You're a good man, Naruto Uzumaki, Hiashi said before focusing on the match before him. Both men watched as Hinata narrowly danced out of Hanabi's range and attacked her left side, which she had left open. Hanabi kicked her leg out, attempting to kick her sister in the head. Hinata went low and kicked Hanabi's legs out from under her before pointing a kunai at her neck. That's enough. Good job Hinata, Hanabi, Hiashi said as Hinata bent down to heal her sister. Way to go you guys, Naruto said, pride expressed all over his face. I'm glad to see that although you have chosen to retire from combat, you have not been ignoring training altogether, Hinata. Hiashi praised. Hinata nodded. There, all better, Hinata said as she finished healing Hanabi. Thank you for sparring with me today, Hanabi said as she and Hiashi left. Naruto wrapped Hinata in a hug before kissing her deeply. Naruto-kun, I'm all sweaty, Hinata giggled. Naruto let her go and handed her the flowers and cinnamon rolls. Oh, thank you, Hinata said as she blushed. It's now or never, Naruto thought as he followed her to the porch. While her back was turned to him, Naruto pulled out the black box from his pocket. Did you want to get Ichiraku's for lunch today? Hinata asked after she put both gifts down. Hinata, Naruto said. Hinata turned around and noticed the box in Naruto's hands. Her eyes went wide in realization. I'm not always good at these kinds of things, Naruto said as he fiddled with the box. I thought I would keep it simple. I am in love with you, Hinata Hyuga, Naruto said, his fierce blue eyes meeting hers. You are the kindest, bravest, strongest person I know. I don't know how someone like you could fall in love with someone like me, but I am so glad you did because my life has been better for it, Dadbeo. Naruto said as he took Hinata's hand in his. I want only two things in this life. I want to be Hokage and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Naruto continued. Hinata had big fat tears running down her face. Naruto opened the ring box and Hinata gasped. It's beautiful, Hinata thought, using her free hand to gingerly touch the ring. Hinata, will you marry me? Naruto finally asked. Yes, Hinata said as she jumped into Naruto's arms, placing a kiss on his lips. The smile on both their faces was blinding. Naruto placed the ring on her finger and kissed her hand. It's a beautiful ring, Naruto-kun, Hinata said. I'm glad you like it, Naruto said. The ring wasn't overly flashy. It had an oval diamond tilted to the side with 3 pearls going from big to small, nestled in the side going up towards the top, resting on a silver band. She was getting married. Months later, Konoha was preparing for the biggest celebration the village had since the end of the war. The wedding of Hinata Hyuga and Naruto Uzumaki. Kakashi was persistent. This wedding would go flawlessly. Naruto and Hinata both have suffered enough in their lives. Kakashi would guarantee their joy on their wedding day. His first task: finding the last Uchiha. Contrary to what Sasuke thinks, Kakashi has always known the location of the young man. The challenge was convincing the self-isolated Uchiha that he was welcome for the celebration. Kakashi flinches at his desk, remembering how Sakura had physically dragged Sasuke to Naruto's birthday celebration 2 years ago. The Uchiha was just another victim of Kakashi's failure as a teacher. Kakashi had made so many mistakes with his students. He focused all of his attention on Sasuke, while pushing Naruto off on other senseis and just ignoring Sakura altogether. Although he taught Sasuke powerful jutsus, what did he really teach him besides that? Kakashi put his pen down as he finished writing the letter. It didn't matter what he didn't do anymore, it matters what he can still do. Rereading the letter, the 6th Hokage stood up and made his way over to the messenger hawks. It was the 5th one. He sent hawk after hawk messenger to Sasuke to attend Naruto's wedding. Sasuke believed he needed to atone for his sins, that he wasn't worthy to be in the village after everything he's done. Kakashi knew the truth. Sasuke was afraid. He was afraid of rejection, but he was already forgiven. Sasuke needed to learn to forgive himself, and if wandering the 5 nations helping people would eventually allow Sasuke to forgive himself, then so be it. However, Kakashi was not going to allow him to stay away for long. Sasuke needed to come home and be there for the people he cares about. He needed to experience love and affection more often. He needed to let the people who cared about him be there for him. So Kakashi would keep sending messenger hawks, and if he got no response, he would go get Sasuke himself. Konohamaru decided to record congratulatory messages from all of Naruto and Hinata's precious people. Konohamaru starts with Iruka-sensei. "Okay, and start," he says as he points his camcorder at a nervous Iruka outside of the academy. "Congratulations on your wedding, Naruto." Hinata. Iruka says. "Iruka-sensei, that was terrible," Konohamaru says as he closes his camcorder. Scratching his chin with one finger, Iruka says, "Well, this was sort of a surprise. I hadn't prepared anything." Iruka tries to think of something meaningful to say to Naruto. Why is this so hard? Iruka asks himself. Iruka-sensei, just say a nice message to them. You were the first person to acknowledge Big Brother Naruto. You must have something to say. Konohamaru asks. You still have others to record. Come back to me later, I'll be ready next time. Iruka says bashfully. Konohamaru travels around the village and records everyone's well wishes for the happy couple. The only ones left are Iruka-sensei and himself. Setting up the camcorder in his room, Konohamaru starts his video message. Big Brother Naruto, congratulations on getting married. Big Sis Hinata, congratulations too. I lost my parents, the old man Hokage, and I thought I'd lose my brother, my rival, when you guys left for the war. Despite the losses I've suffered, I've gained a brother, now a sister, hopefully some nieces and nephews too. I promise I'll be the best big brother to them. So congratulations on what you've gained, and what you will continue to gain. I'm sure old man Hokage would want me to tell you guys something about the will of fire, but if there is anyone who knows about the will of fire, it's you too. Naruto, your will of fire illuminates the whole village. Hinata's flame is just as strong. Seeing the two of you together, I'm sure the old man is smiling. Konohamaru says, closing off his video. The wedding was fast approaching. The caterers, the florist, and the venue were all crossed off of Kakashi's list. The Hyuga, Tsunade and Shizune were all doing their best to help Naruto and Hinata prepare for their day. Kakashi was looking over the schedule for missions on the day of the wedding. Shit, he said under his breath. Shizune looks up from the paper she was going over and asks, what happened? Kakashi takes a deep breath before responding, glaring at the offensive paper schedule in front of him. I was giving the mission schedule a look over on the day of the wedding, We don't have enough shinobi to cover missions, he said. What do you mean? Shizune asked, taking the schedule from Kakashi. If all of Naruto and Hinata's friends go to the reception, there will be unfulfilled missions that day. Also, a lot of our shinobi will be providing security for the wedding, so more missions are going unfulfilled. Kakashi rubbed his face in frustration. Ah, I see. You know, Lady Tsunade made a rule to determine which shinobi get to attend shinobi weddings. Shizune said. What rule would that be? Kakashi asked. It's rude, but the shinobi with the best gifts for the wedding attend, while the shinobi with the worst gifts go on missions. All are judged by the Hokage. Shizune explained. That's a horrible rule, Kakashi said. Well, she had been drinking when she made it. Shizune lets out a nervous laugh. I guess I have no choice. Kakashi sighed. He didn't like this. Later that day, the Konoha 11 were assembled in Kakashi's office. Man, this is such a drag, Shikamaru said as he folded his arms above his head. You don't even know why we're here, Ino said, annoyance creeping into her voice. Whatever it is must be important and involve Hinata and Naruto. Why? Because the Hokage has called all of us but them, Shino starts. Shut up, Shino. Nobody wants to hear your long-winded explanation. Hiba said as he pets Akamaru's head. He's right though, Naruto and Hinata aren't here, Ten said. Maybe they're on the way, although Hinata is a retired shinobi, so if it was mission-related she wouldn't have been included anyway. Sakura said just as the door opened. Kakashi made his way to his desk, already annoyed with the situation. To put it simply, we don't have enough shinobi for everyone to go to the wedding, Kakashi said as he sat down. What does that have to do with us? Sai asked. This is your mission. Those with the best wedding gift may attend the wedding, those with the worst will be assigned to the missions the village needs done that day. Kakashi answered. Lord Sixth, that's simply not fair, Lee protested. Also not to mention rude, Ino said as she crossed her arms. I agree. However, this is the situation we find ourselves in, Kakashi said. Can't the missions just be postponed for one day? Hiba asked. No, it can't. Man, how troublesome, Shikamaru says. Why not, Shikamaru? Choji asked. The village isn't in a position to refuse or postpone missions. Orochimaru's attack, Pain's attack, the war, all of those events have depleted the village finances. Shikamaru explained. Money was given to civilians and ninja, it went towards rebuilding and upgrading stores, homes, schools, and hospitals. Money went towards putting memorial plaques in the cemetery, materials for construction and ninja gear. We need the money, Sakura explains. Very good, you two. Here is the ironic thing about the peace and stability we've fought so hard for. Kakashi says. During times of war and instability, we have an influx of missions. Shinobi are needed to protect and fight for some reason or another. Now during peace times, we still have missions, but they aren't enough to support the entire village right now. What we earn will accumulate. Not only that, if we refuse missions, what happens to our clients? They go somewhere else or they barter for price reductions because we aren't trustworthy. I wish I didn't have to do this, but if there was a better way I wouldn't have even wasted your time with this, but these missions need to be completed. Kakashi said. We understand, Shino says. I'll be judging the gifts the day before the wedding. Good luck. You're dismissed, Kakashi said. Gaara, Temari and Kankuro arrive at Konoha and are greeted by Kakashi. Kazekage, it's nice to see you again, Kakashi said. Hokage, have the others arrived yet? Gaara asks as he and his siblings are escorted through the village. The Mizukage is delayed. Bad weather, Kakashi said. The two walk in silence until they get to the cage conference room. They take their seats. Hokage, when is Naruto Uzumaki's wedding again? Iwa wants to give the happy couple a wedding gift. Onoki, the Tsuchikage asks. Kumo as well, the Raikage chimes in. Gaara listens as Kakashi tells the cage all about Naruto's wedding. I didn't know. Gaara thinks to himself. Soon the Mizukage arrives and they start the meeting. Gaara thinks about the feeling in his stomach and recognizes it as disappointment. When the meeting is over, the Sand siblings are walking through the village. Temari, why didn't you tell us that Naruto was getting married? Kankuro asks his sister. I forgot. Temari muttered. You forgot? How the hell did you forget you were just here? Kankuro says. I said I forgot, okay. Temari yells as she smacks Kankuro with her fan. The other cage received invitations, the sand did not. Gaara said softly. Oh Gaara. Temari says, guilt creeping into her voice. I was here when the Hokage was sending out the formal invitations, so I just took it. I also ran into Naruto and Hinata, they had a more personal invitation. Both invitations are in my office somewhere, I'll find them when we get home. Temari said. I've never been to a wedding, what do you get friends on their wedding day? Gaara asks as the feeling that was in his stomach goes away. Lee and Tenten arrive, their mission to show the Sand siblings around the village. It's been so long my friend. Lee yells as he squishes Gaara in a hug. It's nice to see you too, please let go now. Gaara asks as the hug becomes uncomfortable, still unused to physical affection for a long amount of time. Of course, Lee said, so we're here to show you around, what do you want to see first? Tenten asks the group. Nothing, I'm going to our hotel. Temari says as she turns and starts walking. Okay, how about you two? Tenten asks. Can we see places that Naruto likes? Gaara asks. Of course, we can start with Ichiraku ramen, the source of Naruto's strength. It isn't as good as curry, but the ramen at Ichiraku's gives its own springtime of youth. Lee rants as the group makes its way to the ramen stand. Sitting down for a meal, Gaara asks, have you gotten Naruto a gift? Yes, it was a hard decision to make because both Hinata and Naruto are wonderful people and splendid ninja. Lee rants. What did you both get? Kankuro asks. We thought about it long and hard, but in the end I decided on getting them customized kunai. Tenten says. It's a wonderful gift for such splendid ninja, however it will not beat my gift. Tenten. Lee boasted as a Yame and her father served the ninja their orders. Oh yeah, then, why don't you tell them what you got them? Tenten said. Dumbbells. Lee shouted as crashing waves manifested around him while he stood in his nice guy pose. Kankuro fell out of his chair. Tenten smacked her forehead in shame. Gaara looked around at their reactions and asked. Is that a bad gift to give to your friend at their wedding? Kankuro looked at his younger brother. He forgets often that Gaara doesn't understand a lot of social issues. It slips his mind with how well his brother pretends to understand as the Kazekage, but once it is just the three siblings or Naruto, Gaara allows himself to ask for explanations to things he doesn't understand. Sitting back in his seat, Kankuro explained. Mom told me and Temari something once. A good gift is something that comes from your heart and heartfelt intentions. Gaara soaked in his brother's explanation. They didn't talk about their parents often. You can get something that speaks to a person's interests, or you can give a gift that reflects your own self but also gives off your feelings toward the person, in a more practical explanation. Kankuro finished off. Lee's dumbbells reflect the kind of person he is, but also what he thinks of his friends, just like Tenten's kunai. Ayame gave an example as she overheard their conversation. I see. So since I am the Kazekage, I would have to give a gift that reflects my position. Gaara asks. Yes and no. Yeah, you are the Kazekage, but you are also other things like my little brother, Naruto's friend, and Gaara. So you could actually give two gifts, one is Naruto's friend and one is the Kazekage. Kankuro explained. That is correct. You are lucky, Gaara. Your attendance is guaranteed at the wedding. I am not worried. Lord Sixth will see the greatness of my gift and I will attend the wedding, and if I do not, then I will do 1,000 laps around the village on my hands. Lee ranted. What do you mean? Gaara asked. Lee, you idiot, that was classified. Tenten smacked her forehead in embarrassment. But the Kazekage is our friend and as such he should know that there is a contest to go to the wedding because we do not have enough ninja to complete missions, Lee continued. Gaara dropped the subject, not wanting the ninjas to get in trouble for telling him. They ate their lunches enjoying each other's company. However, Gaara stored the information away to speak to Kakashi about it later. He may have found the gift he would give as the Kazekage, now he needed to give one as Naruto's friend. Later, the Cage resumed their meeting and Gaara pledged to send shinobi to complete missions as honorary Leaf Ninja. The other three nations followed suit. It was 2 days before Naruto and Hinata's wedding and Iruka was stressed. He still didn't know what to say for Konohamaru's video and it frustrated him. Naruto and him had a bond that they never really established what it was. Was Iruka just Naruto's teacher? Was he a friend? What was he to Naruto? What was Naruto to him? Iruka thought as he absent-mindedly chopped a vegetable. A knock on his door interrupted his thinking. Ow! Iruka was pulled back to reality as he accidentally cut his finger. Jumping around in pain, Iruka then shoves his hand under the water. There is another knock on his door and Iruka says, "1 second." Grabbing a cloth and wrapping his finger he walks over to his door. Turning the knob, Iruka's eyes widened in surprise. "Naruto," he says with a soft smile on his face. "Hey Iruka-sensei, it's been a while Datbayo." Naruto greets as he stands awkwardly in the doorway. "Naruto, come in," Iruka says more cheerfully, stepping into his apartment looking for his first aid kit. "Is something burning?" Naruto asks jokingly, as he looks around the apartment noticing the mess of cooking ingredients in the kitchen. His kitchen looked similar a number of times when he's tried to cook more complicated dishes. "Oh shut up," Iruka says, rolling his eyes, finally finding a band-aid he puts it on over his injured finger. "What brings you here, Naruto? Shouldn't you be helping Hinata with the wedding preparations?" Iruka asks. "Hinata's got all that stuff handled, Datbayo," Naruto said, putting his hands behind his head. "Naruto, if you're making Hinata do all the work," Iruka said, frowning. "Do you want to go get some ramen?" Naruto blurted out. Iruka heard his stomach growl and sighed, "Let's go." The two walked in silence for a while before Naruto started talking. "You know it was a good thing I came over when I did, before you killed yourself with that poison you call cooking." Naruto teases. "What the hell does that mean? I can cook," Iruka said defensively. "Datbayo, you should really find a woman, Iruka-sensei. There's a reason we never had dinner at your house. You're one to talk, Naruto. It's also the same reason we've never had dinner at your house, you overgrown brat," Iruka retorted. The two shared a laugh as they continued walking towards Ichiraku. "At least I have a woman, my single days are numbered so I'm gonna have as much fun as I can," Naruto said cheerfully. Iruka side-eyed Naruto. "Is this the person that I've taught?" Iruka asked himself. "Do you know how hard Hinata has worked to prepare for your wedding? The least you can do is be accountable for yourself." "What are you going on about, Iruka-sensei?" Naruto asked. "It seems there are some things that I didn't teach you, and I take full responsibility." "Let's go," Iruka said as he grabbed Naruto's jacket sleeve and started pulling him towards the Hyuga compound. "Wait, where are we going? Ichiraku's is the other way," Naruto asked as he struggled to get out of Iruka's grip. "We are going to apologize to Hinata for raising you in such a thoughtless, selfish, inconsiderate way." Breaking free from Iruka's hold, Naruto said, "But if Hinata's around then I can't tell you what I wanted to ask you." "Then spit it out. One way or another we are going to Hinata's house," Iruka said. "I just thought we could get ramen, have a drink or two, and have some fun then have a nice conver," Naruto ranted. "Enough, Naruto. To think I spent so much time trying to think of a way to congratulate you on your wedding, looks like I won't have to," Iruka interrupted, before walking away from Naruto. "I have a favor to ask," Naruto said, looking at the floor. "A favor," Iruka repeated, turning to look at the young man. "I was wondering if you would be willing to take on the role of my father at the wedding," Naruto asked. Iruka's eyes widened. "Your father," Iruka repeated stupidly. "Is that what you wanted to talk to me about?" Iruka asked, realizing why Naruto was being so weird. Tears pooled in the brown-haired Chunon's eyes as he looked at the blonde before him. When he looked at Naruto, he saw the young lonely boy that reminded Iruka so much of himself. He looked at Naruto and remembered the countless dinners at Ichiraku's. He remembered the countless scoldings he used to give the hard-headed blonde. He remembered chasing him all around the village and making him clean up every prank and trap the blonde set off. He remembered welcoming Naruto back to the village after his first mission. When all the other children's parents showed up and took the other children, they sat by Naruto's swing and he listened as the blonde exaggerated every heroic thing he did on the mission. He remembered when Naruto acknowledged him and he acknowledged him. Nothing felt more right than acknowledging their relationship as a father-son relationship, and suddenly he knew what to say to him in Konohamaru's video. "I would be honored, Naruto," Iruka said, pulling Naruto into a hug. "Thank you," Naruto said softly as hugged Iruka back. "You owe me dinner, let's go," Iruka said, letting go of Naruto. Iruka tracked down Konohamaru the following morning. "I know what I want to say," the teacher said. Setting up his camcorder, Konohamaru counted down from 3. "Hinata, as you know, Naruto is absent-minded and reckless. He is going to need all your support. That doesn't mean you should let him have his way whenever he wants. It's okay to put your foot down. Naruto, I just have this to say. I may not be your real father, but I will always love you like he would. I am proud of the young man that I have been fortunate enough to raise. You better do everything in your power to make Hinata happy," Iruka said. "That's perfect, Iruka-sensei," Konohamaru cheered. The day of the wedding has finally arrived. Everyone is gathered outside of the venue waiting for the ceremony to start. Sasuke stands next to Sakura with a small smile on his face. Temari and Shikamaru are still acting like everyone doesn't know they are together. With the way Shikamaru looks at Temari, it's not hard to figure out. Sai and Ino hold hands. Ten is off trying to get Rock Lee and Guy Sensei to behave. All their friends and family are there to celebrate. Iruka and Kakashi are talking side by side. Inside the venue, Hinata and Naruto stand side by side in comfortable silence. A knock on the door. Everyone is ready for Hinata Nichan, Hanabi said, stepping inside the room with their father in tow. "You look beautiful," Hanabi gushes, holding a picture of Neji in front of her. Hinata's wearing a traditional white kimono with red accents. Her hair is pulled up into an elegant updo with a flower in it. She had on light makeup, just some red lipstick and some mascara. Hinata looks at her father and his face is stern. She almost frowns, but Hiashi looks at her with so much pride and fatherly love that Hinata almost cries. She turns to Naruto, who squeezes her hand. He's wearing a traditional black, gray and white kimono, his hair cut short. They smile at each other and walk towards the doors. This was the first day of the rest of their lives. The wedding was a blur. There were tears, cheers and laughter in the air. Their wedding night was better than what they thought it would be, and they got to spend it in the house that they now shared. Naruto sat behind Hinata as they took a bath together. He grabbed the shampoo that was sitting on the edge of the shower. Pumping the nozzle a few times and working it into his hands, he moved his fingers into Hinata's hair. Hinata let out a content sigh as he massaged the product through her dark tresses. Next, he grabbed the rinsing cup to rinse out the shampoo, being careful to avoid getting it into her eyes. Once he was done, he moved on to massaging the conditioner to her hair and gently untangling it as he went. She leaned into him, enjoying his hands through her hair. Her body was sore. She didn't want to move. Once he was done, he wrapped his arms around her and just enjoyed the calmness. Naruto's first act as the 7th Hokage was clan reform. Starting with the Hyuga now that Hanabi has officially been appointed clan head. So there he sat in the Hyuga compound's council room next to Hanabi, with Hinata on his other side and Hiashi on Hanabi's right. "Thank you all for coming," Hanabi said as she bowed to the elders as they walked in the meeting room. "Please have a seat so that the meeting can start," Hanabi said politely, but the elders knew it was an order. Sitting down, Hanabi and Naruto enjoyed the squirming looks of the elders in the silence. "Why have you called this meeting, Lady Hanabi?" Atami asked suspiciously. "Well, as you know, I am now the clan head and I am allowed to call upon my council as I see fit," Hanabi said. "I suppose they won't have to come when called anymore," Naruto said as he looked at them. "What do you mean, Lord 7th? Arinoru questioned. "What he means is as of today there will no longer be a council of elders to call upon," Hanabi explained. "Listen here, upstart. The Hyuga Council of Elders has been the foundation of the Hyuga clan for generations. It's what holds this clan together," Narais shouted. "The Council of Elders is archaic and it has long since lost its purpose. My decision is final. My word is law," Hanabi said coldly. Byakugan activated. "The feudal lord will not agree to this when he hears of this," Atami said angrily. "What do you think I was doing at the capital all these years? Not only is the feudal lord aware, she has given her consent on all propositions the Hokage and I presented her with. Hanabi said as she lifted an eyebrow. What propositions? The Hokage is not allowed to interfere in clan business. He has no say in the matter. Aranoru said. You see, that is one of the propositions. The Hokage is now freely able to intervene in clan affairs. Hanabi said. How? Another council member asked. It was easy to convince her of the dangers of autonomy once we informed her about the truth of the Uchiha massacre. Hiyashi explained. Now if you all will be so kind as to let me continue. The class system in the Hyuga is abolished. We will no longer be separated by main house or branch house, but we will be united as all Hyuga. Hanabi said. The placing of the cage bird seal is hereby forbidden. The activation of an existing seal is forbidden. Hanabi continued. This is an outrage. One elder shouted. How will we protect the Byakugan? Another added. You cannot do this, Atami shouted as her aged Byakugan flickered on and off like a light. The feudal lord agreed. The cage bird seal is cruel and violates the rights of the people who bear that seal. Naruto shouted. He had hoped that they would be reasonable. The seal is how we protect the secrets of the Hyuga. A clanless nobody like you would not understand, Lord Sixth. Narai sneered. Enough, Hanabi said. These are the wills of the feudal lord, your Hokage and your clan head. We can agree or we can fight against this until all of you drop dead. If it's a fight you want, then the solution is simple. Hanabi explained. And what would that be? Atami inquired, masking her rage. I just simply will never have children. Hanabi said flatly. The air in the room instantly quitted and the silence became tense. There has never been a head that did not have children, an elder whispered in the back. You wouldn't dare, Aranoru hissed. The main house lineage will end with me, Hanabi stated. The seal, Narai started. The seal is cruel. This council has stripped my sister of becoming heir. She has married outside of the clan. No one knows if my nephew and niece will develop the Byakugan or not. Hanabi glanced at her sister. Either way, she is not the heir, and by the laws you so desperately cling to, her children will never be able to lead the clan. We can abolish the placing and activation of the seal, or I will never have children. There will be no heir to turn 3, so no Hyuga will ever be sealed. Hanabi said. My word is law. She added. Realizing that they lost the once might council of elders, they bow in submission. Yes, Lady Hanabi, they say in unison. I'm glad we can agree. Now on to the rest of the new changes, shall we? Hanabi said. Hyugas can now marry outside of the clan. Hyugas are not confined to being ninja, they may pursue whatever career that they so choose. A new council will be replacing this one, with representatives from what was formerly known as the main house and what was formerly known as the branch house. I will also be looking for members to serve as advisors on finances, education, housing etc. Hinata is appointed as our advisor on health. Hanabi trailed off. Naruto held Hinata's hand as he listened to Hanabi take charge of the Hyuga. Neji would be proud of them, he thought. 3 years later, Naruto was sitting at his desk with his 7th Hokage cloak hanging on the back of his chair as he glanced over a document from the Hidden Stones cage requesting for extra ninja to guard some ore that were being transported. If Naruto's 31-year-old self could travel back in time and tell his younger self that their dream came true, his younger self would boast about being the best. But once he got alone, he would cry. He would cry with the realization that his parents loved him. That Sasuke came back. He would cry learning that he found the love of his life and married her. He would cry knowing that he had a rambunctious son just like himself and a beautiful and caring daughter like her mother. He would cry knowing that the village outcast was now the village hero. He would cry knowing that he married a princess and kept every promise he made. I guess there's truths in dreams. If you dream hard enough and you work even harder, you can make your dreams come true. Naruto thought out loud. Leaving a shadow clone in his office to deal with the rest of the paperwork, Naruto went home. His family was waiting for him. Hinata was at the Uzumaki Hyuga Medical Ninjutsu Academy. It was a school she founded and named after Naruto and Neji. She just finished teaching a small group of Hyuga medical students. She opened the school so everyone who wanted to learn could, especially the Hyuga, now that Hamabi was the head of the clan and reshaped it. She rubbed her stomach as she made her way towards the market close to her house. She never thought in a million years that she would be blessed with the family she has. A loving husband. Boruto, her son who was like his father way right down to the laugh. Himawari, her daughter whose smile lit up a room. And now this new baby that was growing in her stomach. She was complete. She picked up what she needed for dinner. Naruto should be on his way home with the kids. Hinata thought. When Naruto became Hokage, it was hard for him to balance the work, the village and his family. Hinata had put her foot down, once it became too much for her and the kids. She had set a schedule, Hokage or not they were a family. Once she got home she took off her shoes at the door and started preparing a quick dinner. While the food was simmering she took a quick shower and changed into a pair of dark purple pants that stopped below her knees, a white long-sleeve blouse and a lavender house dress on top. She left her hair out to dry. She checked on dinner and lowered the flame. Still in the kitchen she heard the front door open and the voices of her family soon filled the silence of the house. "Mama, the tour of the academy was so cool," Himawari said as she ran into the kitchen to hug her mother. "I'm glad you liked it. You can tell me all about it after you wash up, dinner is almost done," Hinata said as she gave Himawari a hug. "Okay," Himawari said after she gave her mom's belly a kiss. Hinata let out a small laugh. "Welcome home," Hinata said after letting out a small laugh. "That goes for you too, kiddo," Naruto said as he ruffled his son's hair. "I don't need you to tell me that, old man." "Hi mom," Boruto said while giving his mother a hug and following after Himawari. Naruto looked at Hinata and his smile grew. She was beautiful. "Dinner's almost done," Hinata said blushing under Naruto's gaze. She was 31 and she still blushed like a teenager when he looked at her. Walking over Naruto to Hinata and pulling her into a gentle kiss. When they broke apart Naruto bent down so that he was eye level with Hinata's swollen belly. "Daddy's home Nori," he said as he pressed a kiss to her belly too. Hinata smiles and shoos him off to go wash up. The Uzumakis sat down for dinner. Himawari talked a minute about her time touring the academy. "Being a ninja is cool but I don't think I want to be a ninja like Big Brother," Himawari says. "What do you want to be, Hima?" Naruto asked after he finished chewing. "I think I want to be a doctor like Mama," Hima replied with a brilliant smile on her face. "Well, a doctor is just as cool as being a ninja," Boruto said as he ruffled his sister's short hair. "You still have a whole year to decide on, Hima, and if that is what you really want then we can start practicing whenever you like," Hinata said proudly. When dinner was done the kids cleaned up the table, while Naruto washed the dishes. Hinata changed into her nightgown and laid down on the bed waiting for her husband to join her. 10 minutes later Naruto joined Hinata in their bedroom. "I tucked Hima into bed already. You can just relax," Naruto said. "All right," Hinata said as she gave a nod. She rubbed her hand over her belly and sighed. After changing into a t-shirt and taking off his pants, Naruto joined Hinata in the bed. "Was she kicking a lot today?" he asked worriedly. He asked as he silently asked to lift up her gown. Nodding Hinata said, "Yeah, she's a lot stronger now." Naruto lifted up her nightgown over her belly leaving just her underwear and her stomach exposed to the cool air blowing in from their bedroom window. He frowned as he noticed small foot-shaped black and blues on her stomach. This pregnancy was harder on Hinata. The doctors were worried about preeclampsia. Hinata started showing symptoms around 20 weeks and the closer they got to Hinata's due date the more worried he became. He didn't want to lose Naori or Hinata. "I can't wait to meet her," Hinata said, smiling sadly. She knew Naruto was worried but she didn't know if either of them would be okay. Pulling her nightgown down, Naruto laid in the bed holding Hinata until her breathing evened out and she fell asleep. He stood up all night just listening to her breathing. The Uzumakis minus Naruto were at the Hyuga compound a few weeks later. Himawari and Boruto were sparring with Hanabi, while Hinata sat next to her father drinking tea. Then she felt it, a something warm between her legs. Looking down Hinata noticed the red color staining her cream skirt. Then intense pain. "Hinata," she heard her father shout before she let a scream rip through her throat. "It hurts," she cried out. Everything was a blur. She hears her father shouting for someone to get the Hokage. Someone else picks her up and starts running with her to the hospital. She feels Himawari and Boruto grab her hands once she's in a gurney. The last thing she sees before she passes out are worried gold eyes. Naruto was in a meeting when Hanabi burst through the door. "It's Hinata. We had to rush her to the hospital." Hanabi choked out in between sobs. Naruto was instantly in Nine Tails chakra mode. He summoned a shadow clone to grab Hanabi before speeding off to the hospital. They got there just as Hinata was put on a gurney. He quickly ran to her. "Hinata, I'm here," Naruto said as he pushed past some nurses to be near her. Sakura pushed Naruto back. "We can't save them if you're in the way, stay here with the kids," she said before giving him another hard shove away from Hinata. Naruto was stuck as he watched a group of nurses push Hinata off somewhere. "You're gonna save them, right?" Naruto said as he looked at his best friend. "We're going to do our best. Stay here, I'll come get you as soon as I can," Sakura said sternly. Nodding, Naruto dispelled the chakra cloak surrounding him and went to sit with Hiashi, Hanabi and Boruto. Naruto picked up Himawari and held her as she cried. He tried to place a comforting hand on Boruto's shoulder. It came out awkward with the way he was cradling Himawari, but the teen still relaxed some under his father's hand. They sat there tense and unmoving for what felt like years when it was only hours. Soon Sakura emerged from the corridor. She disappeared down. She let out a few tears she couldn't shed in doctor mode before saying, "They're both okay," Sakura said, smiling. "We had to perform an emergency C-section. Naori is premature, but with close monitoring she'll be okay in a couple weeks hopefully. Hinata lost a lot of blood, but we were able to stop the bleeding and fix the issue. They are both tired, so I'll let you guys go in small groups one at a time," Sakura said, glossing over the issue in front of the kids. "Thank you, Sakura," Naruto said as he gave her a bone-crushing hug. "Kids, follow Sakura to see mom," Naruto said, ruffling their heads. After the kids went, it was Hiashi and Hanabi. Lastly, it was Naruto. He took a deep breath standing outside of Hinata's room door. Knocking, he waited until he heard a soft come in. Entering, his eyes immediately found pupilless eyes tiredly watching him. "Hi," Hinata said softly. Sitting in the chair next to her bed, Naruto said, "Hi. Are you all right?" Hinata asked. "You're the one in the hospital bed and you're worried about me?" Naruto asked, laughing softly. Grabbing her hand, Naruto said, "You two scared us." "I know, but we're okay now," Hinata assured. "Where's Naori?" Naruto asked, not seeing the newborn in the room. "She should be back soon. The nurses went to wash her up," Hinata replied. "I can't have any more children," she added after. "That's all right," Naruto assured her. A nurse soon rolled Naori in an incubator for premature babies. She was beautiful. A few weeks later, Hinata and Naori were cleared to go home. Naruto held Naori's carrier in one hand and held Hinata's hand in the other. Once they got to their house, they opened the door and took their shoes off. They walked into their living room and all their friends and family were there. Himawari and Boruto were sitting on top of Kakashi and Iruka's shoulders, holding a banner between them. In unison they all shouted, "Welcome home." To be continued. I hope you enjoyed this story. Also remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.